Well, it's a thankful Thursday, and here we are. This day, the 18th day of January in 2014, of course, was a bitter day for most Ghanaians because on this day, Komla Apeke Dumo, met his maker. But it's also a day of celebration for different people. Whatever the mood, wherever you find yourself, good morning to you. Welcome aboard the AM show with Sweetie Abochi and yours truly. My name is Benjamin Akako, in case you didn't know. Now, on the AM show's table, on our chopping board this morning, we're going to be contemplating, of course, we'll have the news, serve you with the tidbits. Then after that, the news review. I'll be joined by financial analyst Dr. Wisdom Dugbe, all the way from the United States. He'll be joining us with his thoughts on many matters of national scope, national concern. Right after that, we have sports, and it's a big one. It's a special one for today because today the Black Stars of Ghana lock horns with Egypt, the Pharaohs of Egypt. You remember that we lost our first match by 2-1, and this is I nearly said something that in political circles has become a bit infamous. It is a win or practically come home situation. We must win against the Pharaohs of Egypt. But looking at their form versus ours, what do you think? And what do you think should be the starting lineup for the Black Stars? Well, this morning we contemplate that. We have a special edition as we also engage our special guests, pundits, to share their thoughts on what we can expect later in the day when the Black Stars of Ghana lock horns with the Pharaohs of Egypt. Now from there, we have other conversations coming up. Drivers are hiking up prices. They are daring government. They are saying that they are going to hike fares by 30% on the back of increments in the cost of lubricants, in the cost of spare parts, in the costs involved at the DVLA, and the hike in taxes and levies. You know about the vehicle income tax now and the emissions levy. They are complaining about this cocktail that they feel is wreaking havoc on their pockets. This morning, we'll have a deliberation on that all-important matter. What does that mean? Are they going to get to the point? June 22nd is when they have promised to implement this. Will we get there? And what will that mean for you and your pocket? We'll contemplate that this morning. And from there, we'll be engaging the Member of Parliament for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama. He wants another term in Parliament. He's a big wig in the party, remember, Aliu Mahama, the Vice President. That's his son. But the question is, will he get the nod as the parliamentary primaries kick off for the NPP? All of these on our chopping board for today. Would love to hear from you, of course, so share your thoughts with us. You know the number to call as well at the tail end. Let's do this for God and country. On that note, let's settle for the news. Up next with you know whom, Sweetie Abochi. We'll be right back.
Good morning. Today's a day to whip up some excitement for the Ghana Black Stars, to up their zeal so that they can break a leg for us as they face off the Egyptians today in the AFCON. We get into all that later on in the show. My name is Sweetie Abochi. I'm here to serve you the news, so let's get into that. To begin with, the New Patriotic Party has disqualified some 17 aspirants from contesting in the January 27th party parliamentary primaries. The decision was taken at a National Executive Council meeting on Wednesday. Now, General Secretary of the party, Justin Kojo Frimpong, has given a breakdown of the numbers in an address to the media after the meeting, as he reveals that elections in the Nshiaso constituency has also been put on hold.
The National Executive Committee took the report from the vetting committee and the National Appeals Committee and also took notice of some development after the vetting. So as it stands now, we have total number of 376 men and women who picked forms to contest. The new development is that we have one court case. The party has been served with a writ, and also an application for interlocutory injunction with respect to Inshaeso, and for that matter, elections in Inshaeso constituency has been stand down until the court process has been addressed. For the number of people who have been disqualified from contesting in the primaries scheduled for 27 January are 17. Those who have been cleared to contest by the National Executive Committee are 325. Those who have stepped down are 3. Those who are going unopposed are 30. So in all, we have 376. The details will be made available through the press release the National Party will issue any moment from now.
The General Secretary also says the party has found a way around the suspended Sunyani East constituency as he gives a green light for elections to be held there as well. A high court in Sunyani in May 2022 ordered the party to set aside the album used for the constituency elections following an injunction by some aggrieved members. But Justin Kojo says the party has found a way out.
The Executive Committee also talked about matter pending in Sunyani East. As you may recall, the High Court annulled the album of Sunyani East constituency. So today, upon several deliberations by the National Executive Committee and in our attempt to ensure peace and stability in Sunyani East constituency, the National Executive Committee has directed that the constituency album that existed in 2018, which has the polling station executives, is the album that we are going to use in this current dispensation. And where people have died or people have traveled, the National Party, in consultation with the regional party and the committee that has been established, will do elections in those vacant positions. Again, the National Executive Committee shall appoint people to act as acting electoral area coordinators and acting constituency executive to further notice. Finally, I'll go back to the Inshaeso constituency that I made a statement that the party has received a writ of sermon and application for interlocutory injunction with respect to Mr. Kennedy Kwesi Kankam, and the party legal team will respond accordingly in due course.
Now, the Ghana Education Service has joined forces with various institutions to conduct comprehensive teacher training programs focused on effectively handling early grade school children. The initiative, according to the GES, aligns with its commitment to elevate the standards of kindergarten education here in Ghana. Speaking at a training session for teachers in both private and public school early childhood teachers in Cape Coast, the GES outlined the importance of enhancing the skills and capabilities of educators to create a conducive learning environment for young students. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Education Service says it will continue to push for reforms to make the country's early childhood education better. At the training of early childhood teachers in Cape Coast, Central Regional Early Childhood Coordinator Alberta Aye explained how the use of play-based approaches to teaching, as well as using less costly teaching and learning resources, is helping improve educational outcomes.
And today we are here training some selected private schools, especially the low-endowed private schools, to support them to train their KG teachers so that the education at the lower level will be a quality that we all expect. We all know that KG is the foundation for education. So if we start it right, we are going to get it right at the top too. And that is why we are here today. We have about 30 schools We have about 120 participants from the 30 schools. The various models in the National Inset Manual that was launched by the Deputy Minister of Education. And that is the major thing that we are doing this year, to make sure that by the end of the year, all KG teachers are trained using the manual, so that we know that we are doing the same thing in achieving quality at the basic school through KG education.
Cape Coast Metro Director of Education, Phyllis Asante-Krobia, explains the approaches adopted will help achieve better educational outcomes.
I believe that as we go through this training, our children are going to get the needed education, the tuition that we want, and it will be easier for us to build on them. And at the end of the day, Cape Coast, that we always pride ourselves as the citadel of education, we are going to go back to what we used to be. I am happy for SEBA extending their tentacles to the private schools.
Senior Technical Manager of Cyber Education, Robert Kwansa, is upbeat that the interventions they are supporting the GES to roll out at the country's preschool level will yield the needed dividends.
We were part of developing the Early Childhood Education Policy for Ghana, which was launched in 2020 and which itself is asking for teaching at the kindergarten level to be play-based learning. And there are a number of other documents we have helped the government of Ghana to develop, all in seeking to improve KG education across the country. The very recent one that we've just developed with the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education is a national kindergarten in-service teacher training manual. This is a manual that the government has approved and is looking at ways to train every single kindergarten teacher across the country to be able to effectively implement the standard-based curriculum, but also to be able to use play-based pedagogy in teaching at the kindergarten level.
To the Northern region now, where the Regional Minister, Shania Hassan Saibu, has called on the staff of the Northern Regional Coordinating Council to conduct an introspection of themselves to see if they had excelled at the various tasks assigned them in 2023. This evaluation, according to the minister, would help the worker chart a new path going into the future. Alhaji Sani said this at the end-of-year party held by the RCC in Tamale.
The annual event is to assess the achievement of the Regional Coordinating Council and also award deserving staff who have chalked some successes in their various assignments. The Northern Regional Minister, Shani Al-Hassan Shaibu, said all the staff owe it a duty to deliver on their mandate.
Probably some people are watching, and that is why we have these prizes here. If you think that you are doing things your own way, somebody is watching. And the word of the watching would manifest, even though we can't all win prizes at the same time. But at every point in time, this recognition would be given. And I guess that is why we must all strive to give up our best, so that one day we would also be recognized and rewarded accordingly. Sometimes it could be challenging, but anyway, anyhow, government would always meet us.
The Chief Director at the Northern Regional Coordinating Council, Alhaji Al-Hassan Isahaku, said the Northern Regional Coordinating Council received some recognition for some outstanding performance in 2023.
It is normal that at the end of every year we gather in this manner to recognize the efforts of our workers, to say thank you to them for all the diverse contributions they continue to make to let the RCC tick. The year has been quite eventful for the Regional Coordinating Council. I think to a large extent we can say that we achieved most of the targets that we set out to achieve. And within the year, we're fortunate to be selected as the best regional coordinating council in the country, which operates the best internal audit unit. I think that was quite a great achievement. We also received another award, also recognizing the fact that in terms of financial management, the RCC did very, very well. In all of these, we recognize that it is teamwork. And without the other departments, they couldn't have achieved all of this. So what we try to do is to encourage more of teamwork. And let's also recognize that the enormity of the task of the RCC sometimes would even lead us to forget our core mandate. For instance, you realize that there are times we focus so much on security. Only yesterday, those of you who were around will realize that the whole place was flooded with security men here and there and so on. All in the bid to ensure that we live up to that expectation of ensuring that things work well in this region for the benefit of our people.
Now, in the heart of Bulsila North Municipality in the Upper East region, the Sandema Hospital, originally designed to be a haven of care, stands in a state of disrepair. Whenever it rains, the hospital's roofs betray their duty, leaking profusely. And the structure has not escaped the ravages of time, displaying gaping cracks that question its integrity. Health workers and patients say they find themselves in an unsafe environment. For a closer look into this unsettling reality, join my colleague Jojo Kobina in the first episode of Ghana's Sick Hospitals.
It is an ultimate walk of shame for any visitor to the Sandema Hospital in the Bulsila North District of the Upper East region. If you were blindfolded, dumped here in the corridor, and the cloth is pulled from your eyes, you could never guess that this place is a hospital. The walls are dirty and the paint almost peeling off. The ceiling is moldy, greenish brown and rotting away. The corridors are dark and dingy. The medical superintendent of the hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Opoku, is unhappy with the state of the hospital, but he's also very worried about the safety of nurses and patients because of the gaping cracks in the walls.
When it rains, almost all the walls leak, including the medical soup's office. And during rainy seasons, it makes seeing patients very difficult because sometimes you need to get to a safe place to cater for the patient. And we'll be grateful if we could get help.
As the head of the facility, he works with the news team to show the dangerous state of the facility. A substantial and alarming crack traverses the length of the wall, extending from floor to ceiling.
So this was formerly used as a dispensary, but because of the nature of the cracks, they have to move to the other side.
Every part of the almost 94-year-old hospital leaks badly.
So why are you still working in a place that you don't feel safe? And if I ever had an accident or something happened to me and I need to visit the hospital immediately, this is where I'll be rushed to. I will just quickly rush into the consulting room 1 to see exactly what is happening there.
This room is where patients receive care from doctors and physician assistants. But a cursory glance shows the room is not hospitable. Just like the corridor, the walls are crying for a fresh coat of paint. The leather upholstery of the chair for patients is badly torn, exposing a dirty brown cushion. The state of the furniture is so bad that you would rather consider standing to receive diagnosis. The floor tiles are broken, weak, and unsafe. Although the state of the consulting room is nothing to write home about, physician assistant Erica Yariga has bigger worries.
Safety, as you all know, it's a universal demand. It's a basic, fundamental thing. But safety in my consulting room with what I'm seeing, of course, no. However, once we are mandated to give services, we have to sit under such conditions to be able to render services to less privileged. So safety, I'll say no.
Mary is nearing 70 and a native of Sandema. She witnessed the hospital lose its luster over the years. She's passionate about the children's ward, which has also deteriorated. So, we entered the children's ward to get a sense of her concerns. The ceiling paints a perfect picture of neglect. Mold growth is evident, and this can be attributed to leakage caused by persistent rain. A fetid, unpleasant odor wafts through the children's ward, further emphasizing the impact of the water damage. The wooden window frame shows clear evidence of decay, with sections displaying a spongy texture in some areas, leaving the frame structurally compromised. Residents of Sandema are not happy with the state of their hospital. 45-year-old Jerry Atimbi Akanawe leads a group called Common Interest to address some of these challenges. But resolving the poor state of the hospital is beyond them, so they want the government to step in.
We've done a lot about this district and some department, but for the hospital, it is something that when we heard about the hospital state, we came to the management to find out the problems, and we realized that the problems were beyond the hospital itself. Most of the offices, from the OPD to even the doctor's office, to the children's ward and other places, are all just in a bad condition.
In fact, I managed to pull him aside to have one-on-one on him. And he said I should write. I did. I wrote a letter to him, to the Minister of Health, concerning our hospital, the sorry nature of our hospital. It is so terrible. I was pleading with him if he can put us on Agenda 111. And then he said for now, as at that time, they will look at it, so I should write. And I've written the letter. But I'm hoping that something good will come out of it. And then at the meeting with head of department and then donor partners back at Bolga Regional Coordinating Council, I made a cry about the hospital.
The Municipal Chief Executive, Vida Akantagriwen Anab, is supposed to provide solutions to this problem, but the Municipal Assembly is broke. With less than a year for her tenure to expire, she has one wish.
If I have one word, I want the government to work on our hospital. It's now a municipal hospital. That is the referral center. And it's not only for Bulsa. We have Bulsa South, they refer here. We have Kasana and Kana. West, they refer here. We have our neighbors, the Mampulisis, they refer. It's a referral center. And so they should work on our hospital for our people because we are suffering.
She hoped that the government would build a new hospital under the ambitious project of constructing 111 district hospitals, but Bulsa North was not considered.
So for the hospital there, like I said, that was where I was working as a midwife, and I'm now on retirement. And looking at the hospital, it is just not good. I am pleading with the Minister of Health and then to Dr. Asare, if they can come to our aid. It's so sorry. The people are really suffering because of the hospital. Yes. And because of that, so many nurses are running away from the hospital.
Well, as the MC and others complain about the poor state of the hospital, some patients question the essence of your hospital, which cannot provide simple gauze and other essentials for dressing wounds.
Yaba, Yenny, my do you so. Menaya meya, and by ya kiss me to be ba. Sunny and my man. There's also. Yen win the ghost, yen beneji, yen cotton. Shall we? And when you say,
Ghost.
What are we?
What's it?
No, I could talk beneji. They are the back cut house, and listening, and then they are ghosts.
Mary says although she has a valid national health insurance card, nurses always tell them to bring the supplies because the government has not fully reimbursed them. What do you call a hospital that cannot provide simple supplies like gauze for dressing wounds? A sick hospital in need of healing. Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
That's from Jojo Kobna, the first episode of Sick Hospitals, with a profound paradox in there. Hopefully this gets the attention of the appropriate authorities to take action. Up next is News Review. Financial policy expert Dr. Wisdom Kofi Dogbe is our guest. But before I go, based on feedback we gathered on Tuesday after the game between Ghana and Cape Verde, it turns out that although Ghanaians are disappointed, there's still hope that today will be better. So if you see me in town today, have your say. What is your ideal starting 11? Will Kudus play today? How do you think the Black Stars will fare? And how are you watching the game? This is the AM show. Keep watching. News Review is up next with Benjamin Akaku.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for the news review. You know, this segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they say the end to chronic disease. Now, if you're a man, they're offering you prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, they're still offering you fertility screening for free. Here's where you can locate them. They have branches dotted across the length and breadth of the country. Let me let you know of some of them. Here in Accra, locate them at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi Krodoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji Estate. There's Tema Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa and Siaman Zama. Their call lines remain 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Today also marks, it's bittersweet for me. Today was the day, some 10 years ago, in 2014, we lost Komla Afeke Dumo, our very own ace broadcaster. Started from these very walls, went to the BBC, and we lost him painfully. I remember hearing of the news and not believing it. Young man, but the Lord has given, the Lord has taken. Today we commiserate with his family once more on this day. And with all of you, I know, who at some point may have had an interaction with him. I also celebrate someone really special, someone who has come through these walls. Awo, like we usually call you. Today is your birthday, and I'd just like to celebrate you, wish you the very best in life. You're a fantastic person. Yeah, you have your ups and downs, but we thank God for life. We thank God for a new cycle that he has started with you. May you be watered and like those trees planted by the river, as the Bible says. May you have a wonderful new year. Miriam Awojifa Vojogbe, happy birthday. I'll try to do this again at the tail end so that at least you would be able to chance upon it. Well, joining us for a conversation this morning, we have a finance analyst, Dr. Wisdom Dogbe. He is our guest. He joins us on the show this morning. Dr. Dogbe, a very good morning to you. Well, I don't know whether it's morning where you are, but thank you for joining us on the AM show.
Thank you, Ben. It's good to be back on the independent, fearless, and credible channel.
All right. Well, you know how we do it. The last time you joined us, I had you share your thoughts on any matter of national scope. Now we have drivers' unions up in arms saying that they are likely to increase fares by 20% plus on the 22nd day of this month. I hear there are moves from government and to have interactions with these unions, and we'll see how that pans out. Later when we have that conversation, we just might hear from the sector ministry involved, at least one of the major stakeholders. We've also heard of everything going on within the MPP and the party's preparations towards the January 27 parliamentary primaries in some constituencies. So what is the way forward in these? Well, I don't know whether you have any thoughts on that, but I'm going to give you about 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes to share your thoughts on any matters that have caught your attention, Doc, up until now.
Sure, Ben. I have followed this somewhat bizarre issue regarding the strategic mobilization Ghana Limited. And I have more questions than answers. You know, I read that they offer a range of assurance services. And here's my question. And I read an article on this in which some of the MPs, they asked the same question, that if SML is being hired to monitor and audit downstream petroleum sector, what then is the mandate of the National Petroleum Authority? What is the purpose of SML doing an automatic tank gauging system, for example, when GRA or NPA already has that in place? How is that deemed as doing revenue assurance for the state? We have institutions in place mandated to oversee what it seems the GRA and the Ministry of Finance hired SML to do. These are the sort of things that cause the average Ghanaian to lose trust in how the affairs of the nation are conducted. And when the CEO of SML is asked about some of the misleading statements on his company's website, he said he didn't know anything about website matter. Who then is in charge of SML? I would like to better understand what services that SML provides that are superior and different from the services of the NPA. Now, one of the contributors on the Fourth Estate documentary, he mentioned that this is a plug into the revenue stream of the nation, taking money for apparently zero job done. And I couldn't agree more, especially with the details available to the public so far. You know, I was listening to an input from the executive director for Africa Center for Energy Policy, and he shared that SML brought in, they were brought in to sit at a depot where the product is actually lifted. However, then the challenge is not about where the product is lifted, because when the product is lifted, MPA already has measures or systems in place to see the quantity of product that is lifted through their tank gauging system and their metering system. And so this was not the problem to solve for. The challenge is how to track the product after it is lifted to where the tax is supposed to be collected. You know, so right from the inception of this, it was very clear to key players in the industry, by virtue of where SML sits in the chain, their relevance was questioned. They couldn't possibly be doing any meaningful revenue assurance for the state. I was glad when I read a few weeks ago that Parliament adopted the report of the Finance Committee. I think the report recommended that GRA must immediately stop all payments to SML. And also, I am inclined to opine that the president's decision to retain KPMG to audit this SML deal, then it could be a good first step, only if we can expect some real and courageous decision or action to be taken after KPMG's investigation. Now, that said, I'm also surprised that the president did not mandate the Auditor General and maybe the OSP to look into this. You know, regardless of who is investigating.
He has mandated KPMG to look into it, but some have had taken issue with that because guess what? The GRA is one of the big clients of KPMG. Of course, that is not to say, looking in the sectors in which you work, that is also not to say that they cannot be professional, but the conflict of interest, that is what people have been alluding to.
Yeah. And regardless of who is investigating, right, the allegations are quite serious, and Ghanaians they deserve better answers and action from the leaders to correct this deal. You know, I'm inclined to suggest that GRA must have been aware that the contract that they were entering into it constitutes a multi-year commitment, right? And I learned that Section 33 of the Public Finance Management Act, it stipulates that multi-year contracts should be debated by Parliament, and the same legislative body must vote to approve or reject. So it makes me wonder what kind of process they went through, legal process they went through to award the contract. So I'm hoping, and I'm waiting to hear back from the report from KPMG.
Well, we see, and the minority in Parliament has also been saying that it will go ahead with its own investigative setup, committee, if you like, because the parameters given by, or the criteria given to the KPMG are not necessarily those ones they are going to follow, because there are more details they seek in the matter. Interestingly, the Minerals Commission has come to say that, look, we have nothing to do with this deal. We did not know about it. The MPA as well. But what I find interesting, reflecting on some of what has come up. So one entity, it's in the downstream sector, it's in the upstream sector, it's dealing with gold, it's dealing with oil. That's quite a lot. But anyway, I mean, usually you would have entities specializing in one or the other, not all of these. And that makes for interesting reading. But the sooner we can get to the bottom of this, the better. Let's quickly get into the papers. Later, there are a few other matters I want us to reflect on. But let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. President Akufo-Addo attends World Economic Forum, NAM conference, and then new app deployed to curb illegal timber exploitation. You know how over the years our rosewood, for example, has been, what word would I use? Exploited, overexploited. Even when there was a ban on logging, people were still doing it. Some Chinese have been involved. And you know the quality of rosewood and the cost of it when it gets outside our borders. Yet we've allowed all of that. And we also know that our forest cover has been depleted by quite a lot over the last decade or so. So all of this, well, hopefully this app. I don't know, sometimes when we talk about apps, I don't know, did you ever hear of the COVID-19 app? Dr. Dogbe?
No.
Okay, so there was an app to do this or that, and I don't know what became of that app, yet we expended, as you know, a lot of taxpayers' money into that application. This was in the thick of COVID-19 and moving forward. There's also GRA
and
cases.
That is the unfortunate thing about the way some of these things are run in our beloved country, right? We tend to take advantage of issues like this, and people just get rich out of pandemics like this. I remember I was in Ghana a couple years ago, 2 years ago actually, and I couldn't board my flight because I could only get my COVID test done by a designated clinic.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Even though I had done my test and I had my report, so it's one of those things that plague our country.
Yeah, and I know the entity specifically that you're referring to. But let's make tracks. GRA chases Nana Kwame Bediako Cheddar for tax evasion. Crisis looms in prisons nationwide. Jails congested by 4,651 inmates as prisons service backs proposed non-custodial sentence. There is also on the back page of the paper, Black Stars ready for Egypt task. I've listened to Jordan Ayew talk about the fact that they have to be clinical, they have to do everything, and that he has utmost confidence in the staff. Ghanaian supporters dismiss allegations. And the supporters in Abidjan have dismissed allegations that they are stranded as the ongoing African Cup of Nations and are threatening to return home. Some had said that, others are saying not. I hear there's been a disbursement of $400 each to them to keep body and soul together. But today we hope that we can conquer the pharaohs of Egypt. If not, it most certainly would mean that we'll be packing bag and baggage and coming back home. But Dr. Dogbe, let me read some of the stories and get your reactions. I'll start from page 3, then go to page 8. So, I'm sure you have heard of Nana Kwame Bediako, New Force, and everything in between. Well, Nana Kwame Bediako, also known as Cheddar, who has announced his candidacy for the presidential position in Ghana's upcoming general elections, has been accused of tax evasion. Of course, not tax avoidance, which is legal, tax evasion by the Ghana Revenue Authority. According to a reliable source at the GRA, Cheddar had been fined a total of 50,000 Ghana cedis for his failure to file personal income tax returns from 2013 to 2016. Now, despite settling a sum of 209,171 cedis between 2018 and 2020, he once again failed to file his returns for the post-2020 period, the source said. The source revealed that for the years 2021 to 2022, the GRA estimated Cheddar's tax assessment to be 2,088,288 cedis and 5,096,536 Ghana cedis, respectively, along with penalties for his failure to file his personal income tax returns. Just to end, the source said, quote, as a presidential candidate and self-proclaimed savior of Ghana, his actions set a worrisome example for the ethical standards expected from individuals in influential positions. So, I mean, Cheddar sat here with me and had a conversation. One of the issues, I remember asking him 4 times what his source of wealth was. He told me about wisdom and its application. But he is also a young man trying to get into a leadership position. I told him about, look, transparency, probity, accountability, the tenets on which the Fourth Republic was grounded, and the fact that you would have to declare your assets. You would have to, if people are funding your political party or your movement, there has to be transparency in who is funding, because, of course, you could also have nefarious characters funding. That is on one end. But on the other end, some too would say, oh, gentleman comes out, starts talking about, oh, I am wealthy, I'm able to do this. He has 150 billboards, some have been pulled down. Then all of a sudden, government is on a rampage. He is being targeted. Where do you stand on this matter? You can address that before I go to the other stories.
Ben, frankly, I don't know much about Cheddar yet, but what I can say is that we need to take him seriously as a nation. I am a strong advocate of the youth and young adults being involved in leadership, including in political positions. The benefits of doing that cannot be overemphasized. That said, I don't know if Cheddar is ready to assume the office of the president of the nation at this time. I have found some of his comments lack some level of transparency for someone trying to be president. You know, as a leader and also president of a nation, the youth especially will look up to you as a role model to learn from your story. I listened to him answer questions on the source of his wealth, just like he said. And he said something like, I built these houses, this real estate with my own hands. What does that even mean, right? How would the youth take that and replicate it? You know, visit a construction site and you will see a lot more going into buildings and structures than mere hands.
I mean, he has this, pardon the interjection, he has this edifice in Osu, number 1 place. He says it took a loan from the World Bank to do that, which actually does happen in some instances. He has Kwales, he has a number of high-rise buildings. I checked out some documentation and supposedly he has many of these. But is it not fair for people to want to know what the source of his wealth is? And now that taxes are coming in, the honesty bit, what do you see?
It is absolutely a fair game, right? If you want to be president of a nation, I'm sure you may have heard about when Trump was running the first time, he refused to release his taxes.
Right.
And people took issue about this. You know, Cheddar said he made £1 million or so at the age of 21 years of age, selling scrap metal, right?
Scrap metal.
How did it all start? He needs to break it down so the youth, you know, with entrepreneurial spirit can attempt to replicate that. We need people like him to make the nation better, to drive entrepreneurship, investment, and mentor the youth. So I think that Ghanaians should take him seriously and listen to what he has to say. But he also has to be more transparent to the people of Ghana, from whom he's seeking support to win the presidency. To be president is a serious business, man. And I think it's rather unfortunate that, quite frankly, and a bit embarrassing how their convention was canceled, but that's a topic for another day. But I think it should be more transparent if he wants the vote.
And I wholly agree with you. Those are the very same points. I've always been for young people in leadership, though some young people are not setting a good example. Recently, the Minister for Something and Poverty in Nigeria, a young lady, 37, the youngest member of Nigeria's cabinet, you know, She was mired in some £500,000, not going into a governmental account, going into a private account and all of that. I feel those things set a bad precedent. But look at France. Emmanuel Macron himself, very young, less than 40 when he became president. He's now appointed a prime minister, Monsieur Attal, who is 34. So there is capacity. It can be done. It's been done in other countries. How old was Obama when he became president? But on the other end, there also tends to be this bit about people who, when they are young, given position, and all they think about is making money or other things. So it's a balance we must work out. Yeah. So let's go to other stories. PPP to open nominations for flag bearer by March. Then crisis looms in prisons nationwide. So Ghana's prisons are overcrowded by 4,651 inmates, representing 45.31% congestion rate. As of Monday, the total prison population was 14,916, surpassing the authorized capacity of 10,265. The Ghana Prison Service has therefore backed a new private members bill to amend the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act 1960, that is Act 30, to introduce an alternative sentencing regime for misdemeanors. Sponsored by the Member of Parliament for Madina, Francis Xavier Kojo, the bill was presented to the Clerk to Parliament on December the 12th last year. It aims at introducing community service and bonds of good behavior as alternatives to the traditional custodial sentences and fines for petty crimes, generally referred to as misdemeanors, where such offenses are not already specified by law. Now, to conclude, data from the Ghana Prison Service show that inmates comprise 14,732 males and 184 females. It goes on, but that's the tale of the tape. For many years, decades practically, we've been trying to work out our prison system. There's been Operation Efiase, people encouraged to contribute 1 CD, 2 CDs or more. The living conditions of our prisoners, for starters, is nothing to write home about. The levels of rehabilitation, I don't know. And then there is also the bit about congestion. And so what do you think about this call for custodial, non-custodial sentences? And I know in the US, it's pretty common. People get that.
Absolutely. And I think Honorable Francis is doing a good job with this. I think there is pressing need for prison reform for several reasons, right? The primary goal of prisons should be to rehabilitate individuals and prepare them for successful reintegration into society. But oftentimes the focus is now on punishment and on providing education, training, and even mental health support that can help individuals address the root cause of their criminal behavior. And there is overcrowding, right? Prisons in many countries, not just in Ghana, are overcrowded, leading to inhumane living conditions and increased violence. And so I think there is a more reason at this point to start some kind of a process to reform our prisons, and they address also disparity and mental health and substance abuse. That is one of the reasons why people go to prison, right? And focus also on restorative justice. Right. I think this is a call in the right direction at this point.
Right. Experts discuss air quality in West Africa. That's on page 4 of the newspaper. There was a time last year when there were concerns about the air quality in many parts of the world, including here in Ghana, and what we were inhaling by way of air in different parts of Accra and other cities within the country. But let me go to that app, and then I guess we can say it's done and dusted for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. New app deployed to curb illegal timber exploitation. A new device to track illegal logging from the country's forests has been deployed in an effort to curb the incidence of illegal exploitation of the timber resources. When fed with the documentation of the logs, Xylorix Pocket Wood, the app or device, will quickly scan them and give off the information about the wood being carried or conveyed. It was developed by Dr. Emmanuel Ibanyele, a wood anatomist at the Forestry Research Institute of the Ghana Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. As a result of the new technology, 198 customs officers, grading and inspection officers at the Department of the Timber Industry Development Division and civil society organizations have been trained on the use of the device. And I believe it's a step in the right direction. President Akufo-Addo attends World Economic Forum and the NAM conference, of course, the non-aligned movement. It goes way back. What do you make, though, Doc, when you look at our economy today? Of course, we're hoping we can get that second tranche of the IMF's releases, another 600 million, without which it could be disastrous for Ghana. We are very close. Our inflationary rate has been tamed year on year, but not month on month. Our import cover from August last year was just about a month. What do you make of where we find ourselves, economically speaking, ahead of getting the second tranche of the IMF's money?
Look, Ben, it's a wonderful thing and a great news that we have reached an agreement with the bilateral creditors after successfully completing the domestic debt exchange program. And I'm happy to learn that the next tranche of funds from the IMF will be released with this agreement in place. And I also learned that that could also unlock additional funds from the World Bank, all of which is good news, right? This will ease the pressure on the city and also attempt to restore some kind of investor confidence and also attract FDIs and other investments into the country. You know, the availability of IMF funding should provide some reassurance to international investors and lenders about the future economic prospects of the nation. All great news. But the part I want Ghanaians to focus on is we have to ask ourselves, what got us into this mess in the first place?
Right.
This heavy indebtedness, the level of which one can argue we haven't seen since independence. I read in one of Joy News reporting on how the finance minister is starting this agreement with the bilateral creditors as evidence that Ghana has indeed turned the corner. Really? You owe someone and you go beg to have your obligations reduced. I don't think that necessarily is evidence that we've turned the corner. IMF is giving you a bailout. Of what use is that if corruption still runs amok in the government?
Right.
When folks are waiting for the funds to be siphoned into private pockets or mismanaged. Ben, if I recall, I saw one of your programs where you actually refer to some of the folks that mismanage government resources as economic hyenas. Look, I cannot make a case against such categorization of those Ghanaians. But I have questions, and one question for our leaders. If Ghana was your own private business, would you run it the same way as you're currently running your ministry or agency? Can you look yourself in the mirror and tap yourself on the shoulders and say, indeed, I have done well for Mother Ghana? So all I'm saying is that in all of this debt restructure, the government must act in good faith, not just to the creditor and the G20 common framework, but mainly to the people of Ghana.
Right.
You know, these funds coming from IMF should indeed be allocated to key public investments, especially in agriculture, healthcare, infrastructure development, and mainly into ventures that will provide the government with direct returns.
Right.
We need to be serious about long-term sustainability, Ben. And I appreciate the fact that the finance minister said this is a step towards the long-term sustainability. The government should aim for a prudent and sustainable approach, to this debt restructuring to avoid excessive accumulation of debt for future governments and, for that matter, the people of Ghana. So can we set a target for debt to GDP ratio and ensure that the borrowing is in line with the country's long-term fiscal sustainability?
Right.
Can we put policies in place to reduce the demand for the almighty dollar, which has been a drag on the city? One other thing I want to read about or hear or see from the government is some emphasis on risk management that is associated with debt, right? Including interest rate risk and the currency or FX risk. We need to develop a comprehensive risk management framework and a culture of monitoring and mitigating some of these risks, Ben. The debt issue, it kind of bothers me a whole lot, and I know it concerns a lot of Ghanaians. So I actually reached out and proactively shared specific recommendations with folks in the current administration, how I believe we can better manage at least the interest rate risk exposure.
What was the response? Which entities did you reach out to? What was the response, briefly, so we can move to other stories?
I won't mention names here, but I will tell you this. About a month ago, I also had the opportunity to sit down with His Excellency President John Mahama about this, and some of the members
former
of
president.
Parliament. I actually talked to Dr. Atu Forson as well, and Honorable Isaac Adongo, and I shared my thoughts with them about the need for Ghana to establish a comprehensive hedging policy to mitigate some of these exposures.
Why are you not sharing that with this administration? We're in the heat of an economic downturn. Why are you not sharing it with them?
I have, but I'm not able to mention names at this point. I have actually reached out proactively, had conversations, and shared my thoughts with them.
Okay. Would you say the finance ministry is aware of what you shared?
I haven't talked to His Excellency or Honorable Ken Ofori.
No, I'm not saying you've spoken to him, but I'm asking, would you say that based on what you've shared, do you think anyone at the finance ministry would probably have got a hint of what you shared, what you think could save
Absolutely.
us?
And I shared with folks at the Bank of Ghana as well, right? I do have connections in there, friends in there, networks in there, and I've shared some of these ideas with them. But it doesn't make any sense if you think about it, right? If you can't go borrowing, and these are not fixed rate debt. These are also floating rate debt. We need to put risk management measures in place to be able to protect the nation from losing money just because we can hedge our risk. That's not the best way to manage debt risk.
Let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper now. NAM1 trial judge threatens lawyers with prison. Veep hosts chef Failatu. I don't know yet whether she's heard from the Guinness World Records. As of yesterday when I checked, she hadn't. NDC gurus swear blood oath with sword. Judicial Service denies bungalow sale. NDC suspends Hamid Bewa. We've looked at that story quite a bit. Benzema files defamation suit against Minister. Kudus returns to face Egypt. He picked up an injury from what we hear. And Vinicius Jr. is dangerous. That's a story there at the back page, or on the back page of the paper. So let's get into some of the stories. There is so the judge conducting the trial of embattled Chief Executive Officer of Men's Gold Ghana Limited, NAM1, has threatened to commit lawyers in the case to prison if they fail to show the necessary courtesy to the court. According to Justice Ernest Owusu-Dapa, a Court of Appeal judge sitting as an additional High Court judge, he will not tolerate any disrespect from any of the lawyers in the matter and will not hesitate to use the powers granted him by the Constitution. He said if the disrespect continued, he would commit the lawyers for contempt of court and send them to prison, indicating that not even the president could get him to rescind that decision. There's also some leading members of the opposition, NDC, have devolved into the hubris of occultism, the story in the Daily Guide says, swearing a blood oath to the party ahead of this year's elections. I will refrain from reading the rest of the story because, of course, usually these have a political tint, and occultism, or whatever else it may be called. But pictured there, Elvis Efriye Ankra, supposedly with a sword. Whatever is being done with it, I do not know. I feel we all should be measured in our actions, especially the political actors, and also how these are communicated. Let me see whether there are other stories I can take a look at before we move. Intense Israeli strikes in South Gaza City, and that is there. There's also this interesting story of a mother wrongly jailed for 20 years, an Australian mother who spent 2 decades in prison after she was wrongly found guilty of killing her 4 children and had her convictions formally quashed Thursday as her lawyers called for legal reform and, quote, substantial compensation. Imagine that, losing 20 years of your life. I'll end with these stories. Boy 18 butchered. He survived a dangerous machete attack after he was brutally butchered on the head, left leg, and left arm with a sharp machete. A victim, Gabriel Kweku Chumesi was in his house at Ebuakwa Kubiase in the Ashanti region on January 16, 2024, when he was violently attacked. According to the police, one Kwabena Eje, a student of Barakesi SHS, also of Ebuakwa Dadiase, armed with a machete, butchered Chumesi without provocation. So this attack then set media standards to address irregularities. According to Sam George, the Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, then there is the NAM1 trial judge situation, not much in there. And then this bit about a blood oath with a sword. Any quick thoughts to share on anyone?
Yes, Ben, I think that I'll react to the Israel-Hamas item, right?
Right.
That was really an unfortunate turn of events with ripple effects across the Middle East with Houthi rebels joining the fray of the dispute, targeting...
And the rebels have now been recategorized as a terrorist group by the U.S.
Absolutely. And I tell you this, regardless of which side of the aisle you sit, right, the devastation on both sides is enormous. And both parties need to find a quick way of ending this. You know, Palestinian lives matter and Israeli lives also matter. And so I think this is good news that there was a report that a deal has been reached to provide some kind of aid to Gaza and the hostages. But let me comment briefly on this ongoing genocide case that South Africa brought against Israel. We ought to ask the basic question here. How did the recent conflict start? Did the world watch a group of partygoers got murdered in cold blood? How old women and men were pulled from their kibbutz and killed like chicken, and babies were murdered there just like they were not human beings, right? What is the outrage from folks that are angry, you know, that there's genocide going on? You know, genocide, I'm not condoning that. It's definitely a very serious thing. It's a systematic extermination of a particular group of people. And the UN also defines it as an act committed with the intent to destroy a whole ethnic or racial group or religious group. Look, I don't claim to be a lawyer here, but we've seen these acts of causing serious bodily harm on both sides of the conflict. And I'm curious to know what folks that are very angry with one side, what do they think about October 7 last year in Israel? And also the UN categorizes genocide as deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring the physical destruction of the group, including deprivation of food, water, shelter, healthcare, and so on. You know, South Africa brought this lawsuit against Israel, citing some of these deprivation as acts of genocide by Israel. What do they have to say about the hostages, right? The UN also calls out forcibly transferring children of a targeted group or nationality to another group or nationality, right? Forcibly separating these children from their parents and their families or communities, and with one goal of indoctrinating these children with doctrines of the oppressor. The other day, we heard that Russia forcibly transferred children from Ukraine to Russia and teaching them about Russia's doctrine. What was the outrage about that? I think we need to, if we're going to get angry, we need to get angry with the similar situation all across board. But what I'm saying is that what is going on is barbaric. Both parties need to come together. Israel and Palestinians need to come together and solve this once and for all. I know it's been going on for many years, but we can't continue like this, right? Human life should mean something to the warring factions at some point.
Thoughts, but before I take your final thoughts, we're done with the newspapers. There's a story on myjoyonline.com. I heard it yesterday and thought it was a joke until I actually saw. Akufo-Addo attributes neglect of development in Ekumfi to residents' vote against Atukujo. Now, Atukujo was the member of parliament, was not voted for. The president has revealed that his government neglected development in Ekumfi, a constituency, due to the residents' decision to vote Francis Atukujo out of parliament in the 2020 elections. He won in 2016, and the president expressed dissatisfaction, and he said despite appointing Atukujo as Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture, the constituents had voted him out. And quoting the president, he says, Atukujo was your MP, and I made him a deputy minister, and you voted him out in the last elections. And because of that, I did not pay attention to development in your area. I have to be honest with you. But since you have brought it up, I will pay attention to it. People have taken him up on this, especially on the back of what he said in Mepe when the Akosombo Dam spillage thing happened, and he spoke about, you did not vote for me, but I'm still doing this. I don't know what you make of the president's rhetoric in this light. You have less than a minute, straight to the point on this.
I'll tell you though, I can't fathom that, right? I just cannot explain. I'm a father of three. I can't say that I don't want to do something for one of those because somebody else's action impacted my decision to do that, right? It just doesn't make sense, and I have more questions than answers for you on this one. But Ghanaians can read through this. Ghanaians are very smart, right? You don't tell them stuff like this and just let it slide under the racks. He is the president of Ghana,
right.
And his responsibility is to allocate resources fairly, equitably, and justly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dugbe, for joining the conversation. Dr. Dugbe, a finance analyst, joining the conversation all the way from the United States. We're grateful for the time you've spent with us here this morning. Thelmo Bimpe, I see you. A very good morning to you. I hope you're well. Miriam Awojifa Vojogbe, today happens to be your birthday, the 18th day of the first month. You're a wonderful person. God richly bless you and keep you and strengthen you. And of course, my regards to all parties involved. I don't know where the party is going to be today, so you'd have to let me know. I saw this comment come through. Isa Mustafa says, good morning. I'm watching you live from the WA in the Upper West region. Keep up the good work. Thank you for doing the watching. Before we veer into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment. And of course, if you're a man, they're offering you prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, they're offering you fertility screening for free. Here's where you can locate them. In Accra at Spentex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronoma Boy here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Energy State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. I just remembered that I had a birthday wish from someone else. Let me just check it out before we proceed. All right, so there it is. Happy birthday to Aunt Janet. Aunt Janet, CEO of Bok Inn in Bolaga. May the good Lord continue to bless and protect you in all your endeavors in life. You are destined for greatness. Enjoy your day. It's from Samuel Mbura. Samuel Mbura. To you, Aunt Janet, CEO of Bok Inn in Bolaga. But speaking of bocking in, right? We're hoping that our senior national team, the Black Stars, will be able to go past the Pharaohs of Egypt. It is a make or break match today after losing to Cabo Verde in the first match. But how will they fare? Which players do you think we should be fielding and all of that? Well, there's a lengthy discussion with our pundits coming up next as our sports team picks up your views on those matters. That discussion up next on the AM Show.
Good morning, and it's a big day for the Black Stars who come up against the Pharaohs of Egypt on match day 2 of the Africa Cup of Nations. Ghana disappointingly suffered a 2-1 loss to Cape Verde, which makes a win in tonight's encounter absolutely imperative. The Egyptians themselves are reeling from the draw against Mozambique and hope to return to winning ways, making the tie tonight a promising one. My name is Haruna Mubarak, and I welcome you to the sports segment of the AM Show. Let's get into the action now. And join me via Zoom is Muftar Nabila Abdullah, my colleague who is in Abidjan, to share more perspectives on tonight's game as far as the Black Stars and Egypt are concerned. Muftar, good morning. Hello, Muftar, can you unmute?
I've unmuted. Mubarak.
Yeah, how are you? How is Abidjan?
Abidjan is okay. We are all doing allez, allez, oui. So, yeah, Abidjan is fine. You're coping.
Hope you've improved your French speaking skill.
I don't.
Okay, Muftar, let's get to the nitty-gritty of the topic today. On Monday, you spoke to me about how distraught the players were as far as the defeat to Cape Verde is concerned. Having watched the team train yesterday, what can you tell us about the preparedness and the readiness of the team?
Well, Mubarak, I saw a Black Stars team that looked extremely hungry. I saw a Black Stars technical bench that is willing to salvage a situation they've self-inflicted themselves. At that press conference, which happened on Wednesday, Jordan Ayew was categorical with that. He said the situation the team finds itself, they caused it themselves, and they need to find a way of coming out of it. In as much as he accepts that it is going to be quite difficult against Egypt, he also says that when things don't go your way, you need to force them. So this game against Egypt, the boys are ready to force every single thing out. And in fact, you would also notice that on my Joy Online, we published an article that was titled, "Fellow Ghanaians, Calm Down." And the content of that article was just to provide a historical context into Ghana's participation in the African Cup of Nations, which has now transcended to the FIFA World Cup. And in that article, it was stated that since 1992, Ghana has lost just one game when it comes to play in the African Cup of Nations in its second group games. And the country and has played about 19 separate tournaments. The team has won about 13 of 8 matches on March Day 2 and drawn 5 and lost 1. So these are statistics that I put before Chris Hughton and Jordan Ayew, and they were all very clear in their mind that hopefully these statistics.
Yeah, I think let's hear from Chris Hughton, who answered your question with regards to the good omen as far as the history is concerned. So let's hear from Chris Hughton, who spoke to Muftar Nabila Abdullahi.
Firstly, I don't know if the expression, I have an expression, hopefully this is a good omen, that the Black Stars in this same position throughout the years have been able to come through victorious in the second game. It is something that I am aware of, but I think the biggest motivation for the players is that we are here. We didn't get the result we needed in the first game. This is the motivation we need for the second game. We want to do well in this competition. This is the motivation that we need for this game. We are up against a big team, successful team in Egypt. This is the motivation. And probably more than anything is we are aware of expectations. We have a wonderful support behind us and always do. And there isn't one player in the squad. And Jordan's here, having played in AFCONs before and represented Ghana for so many years. There isn't one player in this squad that isn't aware of what this game means. And they're the biggest motivations that we can give to the players.
Well, first of all, I don't agree with that because everyone that plays football is the bread and butter, and everyone gives his 100%. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes things don't go your way. But I think we need to do more, that's for sure. And we are ready to do more, and we are going to do more. So nobody should worry about that. And tomorrow is a big day, and we know that it's a big day, and we know how much it means to Ghanaians. And for we ourselves personally, we want to perform. We want to perform in this tournament. We didn't just come here just to visit Abidjan. We came here to perform well. So we'll see tomorrow, and we're ready, and you cannot disagree when no one lacks commitment. Everyone is fully committed. It's just that sometimes things go your way, things don't go your way, but you need to force things. And tomorrow we're going to force things, and we'll see after that.
Of Jordan Ayew with regards to the commitment level of the players. Let's talk about what Chris Houghton said in regards to the history. How confident are you that tonight's game will be different based on the historical antecedent?
Well, when I was going through the numbers, one of the things that a gentleman who has just joined me here, Atapoku, said was
Atapoku, good morning. My man. Hope you are doing well.
I'm pretty well, man.
Good.
Hope you are well too.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll come to you shortly. Mufta, continue, please.
Yeah, Atapoku was telling me that I should have just allowed that history to remain hidden because making it public, I've now jinxed it, and I hope it has not been jinxed. And in fact, as we all heard from Chris Houghton, he's hoping that it is a good omen. He also says that it is something that they can use to motivate the players. They wouldn't want to be the first group of players who have failed Ghanaians by allowing that record to be crushed when they come up against Egypt later today. So I do anticipate that this is going to be a big motivating factor for the boys as they go out there. One of the challenges I always have about this team is the psyche of the boys, how they always drop their shoulders at the least adversity or setback. And I think that it is important that they are able to find their feet and go all out with the right character, the right determination, and the right hunger against Egypt later today. Mubarak.
Okay. Atapoku, does history play a role in football?
Well, it obviously does. I mean, yesterday he also brought out another one at the Black Stars training that the last two tournaments that we've lost our opening game, we've ended up being in the final. That's in 2010 and then in 2015. So you go back, the last time we lost our opening game and ended up exiting in the group stage was in 2006 in Egypt. And even that,
and 2021.
In the second game, we ended up beating Senegal. So, I mean, there's something that is there for us. I mean, it propels you. It's a motivation. And I believe that this crop of Black Stars players will see themselves that, look, anything at all can happen, but tonight is the day, the moment that we actually came back into the competition and told the world that, look, we are four-time champions for a reason.
Let me ask you this, with regards to the comments of Jordan Ayew. Do you agree with him? Because he says the players, they obviously have the desire, they have the commitment, but sometimes things does not work out well for the players on the pitch. Do you agree with him?
Well, I agree with him 100%. They have the desire, they have the passion and all that. But you see, there sometimes has become more often now. In the past, Black Stars would do so well and then there'll be one blip. That was the sometimes, so the odd one out of the many. But now the odd one out of the many is when they are winning games. So now we don't even know the Black Stars that will turn up today. Which Black Stars? The usual one, the one that doesn't play well and just loses matches at the slightest adversity, as Mustafa said, or the one that showed that, especially against the big boys, they always came to the party. It is there. The talk is a fighting talk. We would want them to replicate this on the pitch and walk that talk. You could see from his face that he's fired up. You could see from his mannerism and body language that he wasn't ready for any negative discussion. There was a point he told the Nigerian journalist that he should come back after the group stage games to ask him if they have disappointed Ghanaians in the event they fail to advance out of the group they are in. So yes, I appreciate the fighting talk, but the fight, the passion, and the desire and the commitment for it must be replicated on the Stade Felix Houphouët-Boigny pitch tonight.
Okay, Mustafa, before we get into the pitch issues, I want us to talk about Chris Houghton in terms of the verbal attack he endured the last time out after the defeat. Has the FA increased any security measures just to ensure that he doesn't easily get approached by anybody else?
Well, that's quite an interesting one. And in fact, Atapoku was there yesterday at the Black Stars training ground when the FA said that we should be about 100 or 200 meters away from the team when the team bus arrived.
Yeah.
It was not an official thing that came from the FA, but the suspicion is that it was actually an order on instruction that was given to the security officers, because prior to the Black Stars training, which started at 6:30 p.m., we were at the Egypt training ground and we were just about 10, 15 meters close to the Egyptian players to take pictures, to take videos of them descend from their car, walked onto the training pitch and all that. But when it came to our very own Black Stars, we are over 100 meters away when the bus arrived, because the CAF media officer, Rowena, had told us that due to security reasons, they have been told that we should be far away from the team and all that. But what I found rather contradictory was the fact that when the players started warming up and all that, they came closer to the players and we were just close to them. And I found that very interesting. In fact, Chris Hughton, when he was arranging his cones, came closer to me, just like 5 meters close to each other. So I found that quite interesting from the security officers who were there. But one of the things that I can say for sure is that probably it was one of those things the GFA wants to do to protect Chris Hughton the more. I was at that post-match press conference where some of our colleagues actually tried getting into the dressing room of the Black Stars after the press conference, where Chris Hughton has spoken about how disappointed he was, and then the players who were extremely disappointed. And the scenes we saw come out of the team's hotel, it was always important that the GFA put in the right security measures to protect the assets they've got. Trust me, we are all here because of the players. We are all here because of the technical team. If they hadn't let this team to qualify, I'm not sure many Ghanaian journalists would be here. So it is important the GFA put in the right measures, the right security for them. And I don't begrudge the security for telling us that we should stay away from the team due to security issues and all that. I feel that it's one of those things the GFA has put in place to improve security around the technical team and the players as well.
Well, a little addendum to it. Like, this is the first time I've seen Black Stars train, and then within the perimeter, the perimeter where Black Stars are training, there are 5 policemen. The local librarian, Gendarmerie, 5 policemen were within the perimeter where the Black Stars
That's
were
quite
training.
extreme.
So clearly, like Mustafa said, security has been beefed up around the team. There is the team security from Ghana, and then there is local librarian Gendarmerie also in the perimeter. It's not like they're even outside of the perimeter. They are within the perimeter. So if you try,
and in fact, they came to where the journalists were standing. They came to where the journalists were
just behind us.
Yes.
Just behind us. Like, if you try anything funny, look, this will whisk you away.
And in fact, we were actually even warned that if you try going beyond where the security were, they will revoke your accreditation.
Absolutely, there is a designated mark.
That's quite serious.
Don't go beyond your boundaries.
That's quite serious. Mufta, Chris spoke about Mohamed Kudus yesterday, that he would be assessed ahead of tonight's game. Do you have any update on his fitness level? Would he be able to feature maybe for some minutes tonight?
Well, that's quite an interesting question to ask. Maybe we can take what Chris Hughton said. Though I would not take it hook, line, and sinker because of what I knew even before I left Ghana. Because of what I knew even before Mohamed Kudus arrived in Ghana to join the team camp. And some of the snippets of information that was available to me was the fact that Mohamed Kudus was not going to be available for the first 2 games. It is interesting to actually see that he's been able to train for the last 3 days. We suggest that the medical team are doing a very good job to get him back into fitness. The first few days that they were here, he was mostly training alone. He joined the rest of the boys to start training. That was on Monday. And even the Monday training session, my understanding was that he didn't complete the entire session. He did a bit personally and joined the rest of the group. But on Tuesday, he trained with the whole team. And in fact, as at 10 p.m. yesterday, the intel available to me was the fact that he trained fully again. So as Chris Hughton mentioned, they are going to assess him this morning to make a determination as to whether he will be available. I wouldn't be surprised if he's given some minutes in this game. It is quite an important match. This actually takes me back to 2015 when Asamoah Gyan was attacked by malaria and was not available. Ghanaians were doubting. We all had our issues because Asamoah Gyan was the spine of that team. And interestingly, Mohamed Kudus too, though he's very young, he's actually the spine of this team. Without Mohamed Kudus, you are wondering where the next creative player is going to come from, where the magic is going to come from in this Black Stars team. So hopefully, Mohamed Kudus will be available to play some minutes later today. I don't think it is going to be a risk. I'm sure the physios, in fact, we were all at the training ground. We saw the West Ham physios who were all around at the Black Stars training ground yesterday. I'm sure they are working well with the Ghana medics, the likes of Dr. Prince Pambo and Kojo, to ensure that they get the right decision, which is going to be in favor of both West Ham and Ghana. And it is important that Mohamed Kudus is available for the game later today. He might just be that man who will score that goal against Egypt and change everything for Ghana.
Yes,
potentially we are looking at the Comoros situation here in the World Cup. Like, I'm not so convinced that he is going to start. Looking at him, and then looking at Egypt are coming from the Muftau perspective strongly. Their coach, Rui Vitoria, was quite clear that they have prepared for him and that they are going to play with him in mind. And also understand that we have other very good players who are capable of inflicting damage on the Egyptians. But when it comes to that person, Mohamed Kudus, his first statement is that, look, just as he said, even before the opening game, the best players must always be available for this competition. And that Mohamed Kudus is a fantastic footballer. One he, Rui Vitoria, personally likes, and I've loved watching him playing for West Ham this season. And it's quite clear that Ghana will need him, and that's why they are preparing for him. So Egypt are actually prepared for him, which means there is something happening behind the scenes. So quite like the Comoros World Cup qualifier, you can come in at any time and then run the show for us.
Bearing in mind the precarious position of the Black Stars as far as the group standings are concerned, if Ghana loses tonight, do you think, or would you suggest to the technical team to feature Kudus? Maybe they should start him, or he should come off from the bench and then make an impact? Or because he's not fit, they should just stick to the players they have and ensure that he becomes fully fit before they feature him?
It has always been the balance between footballers whom you guys call in Accra Bogbe. They would always want to play.
In the local balance.
Sorry. And then and then a player who needs to be protected now for a brighter future. So finding the balance is difficult. Kudus wants to play. Left to him alone, he will be agitating to play because these are footballers. And this is what they always do. But then the other thing here is that you need to hold him back small. But knowing Ghana, and with the precedent of 2015 mentioned by Muftau, I'll go back as 2006. When right after the game against Zimbabwe, we asked Ratomer Djukovic, why did you play Stephen Appiah, a one-legged Stephen Appiah? And he said, look, a one-legged Stephen Appiah is just one pass away from deciding a game. So look, a one-legged Mohamed Kudus is one pass away, one moment of brilliance away from deciding a game. And I feel that that balance between a game changer and protecting him is what is going to win tonight. I genuinely feel he will get some minutes.
And Moba, just to add to what Asare has said. You remember that interview I had with Dr. Prince Pambo, where he said that, yes, the medical team can tell the coach that maybe Mohamed Kudus is 70% fit for this game, or even 60% fit. And we suggest to him that, okay, because the player is 60% fit, we think he can play about 30 minutes. So it is a decision of the coach to go like, okay, if Mohamed Kudus is 60% fit, he is better than 100% fit another player in the team. So the coaches would always go for players that, as I just mentioned, even with one leg, the person is able to produce moments of magic that can influence the outcome of the game. You won't be surprised you have Mohamed Kudus. The coach, Chris will ask him, walk as long as you want, keep walking, don't work so hard. But when you get the ball, let the magic happen. And that's what is definitely going to happen. He might just put it up there and tell the boys, let the ball get to Mohamed Kudus. And he might just be the person to play something for us. So whether he's fully fit or not fully fit, it's a discretion of the coach to determine whether he plays or not. Mubarak.
Yeah. One player that played his role in the game against Cape Verde is Yeboah Koningsdorfer. Muftau, from what you observed at the training session last night, how was his demeanor like? Because he came under intense pressure after the game against Cape Verde. Is he in a good mood? Is he ready to play again? Do you think the coach will start him? Yes.
In fact, you have the videos there. The facial expression you saw, did you see a disappointed? You see, these are professional footballers.
Absolutely.
These things happen, right? There'll be moments you will have a very good game. There'll be moments you will not have a very good game. I've heard many people go like he was set up to fail, or they drop in the middle of the sea and expect him to swim against the tide and all that. Trust me, Ransford Yeboah himself, I'm sure he wanted to actually impress Ghanaians, but it never worked his way. So he needs to recover. You see, and in fact, Victoria mentioned something. Facing challenges is normal in the game of football. Overcoming those challenges or responding to those challenges is what makes you a team. So I think that Ransford Yeboah, I'm not sure he's one player who is actually so perturbed about what happened. In fact, when we're going out of the team's training page, I was telling Richard Ofori that we are here because of you. He turned back and said, come and watch us play again tomorrow.
Wow.
This clearly tells that this was a player that many of us have said made mistakes that led to Ghana's defeat. And in fact, some of his colleagues even shaded him. In as much as they were not categorical that they were referring to him, one of the things they said was that we are professional footballers and cannot be making such elementary mistakes.
Amateur mistake.
You can't have that. But these players, they see it happen week in and out. There's a day they'll produce some phenomenal performance, another time it will not work. It is important to be very consistent in terms of performance. But if you produce such social performances, sometimes you make it very difficult for even the technical team to say, what kind of player are we expecting today? Because he hasn't been consistent for us to be able to go like, okay, we are either dropping him or we are letting him play. So it is important that I put it here that the Ransford Yeboah I saw, his demeanor did not suggest that he's been psychologically affected.
Okay.
These things, they are footballers. They see them. They see what we write and talk about them all the time. I remember about 3 years ago, one footballer was telling me that, do you know the things you people write we see? I was like, but the things we write are not private. They are public. So we are in the same echo chamber. Are not private. They are public. So I know they see them, but these are things that would actually motivate them to come back stronger. And I think Ransford Yeboah will definitely do that.
Okay. Atapoku, would you stick to the lineup against Cape Verde?
No, I won't.
Okay.
We can't have a rusty goalkeeper and then a rusty centre back. Okay. No, we can't risk that.
Yeah.
We can't. We can't. We were at the team training for Egypt. And look, yes, Mohamed Salah is there, but I think the Mustafa boy is going to be very key in what they do today. Why? His endless energy and constant running. That's what they are bringing to us, to exploit the spaces in between the fullbacks and the centre backs. When they did to a training, it was quite clear what they had planned to come and do, and they'll come and execute it. We need energy, industry, 100% application, focus, and commitment in this game. And that's why I would excuse Salisu and bring in Amate for this very game. You need to be fit and focused for 95 or so minutes.
That's what
Jordan actually said that yesterday, that look, they were not focused enough for 95 minutes, and that's why they lost the game. So look, you see, we are playing a tournament in the middle of the season. A lot of these players have already warmed themselves into the season, operating at optimal levels. Now, if you bring in a player who is just coming back from a long layoff, he is now chasing match fitness in a competition where others are far ahead of him. It makes it difficult for these people. So, my brother, we keep him at our own peril, knowing that our goalkeeper has also not been fully involved with his club side in South Africa. So if you are playing Ofori, then you can't have Salisu there. It must be Amate. And then the yellow card easily nullified by Yusuf. So if Salis is that okay, and there is nothing wrong with him, and you know he's been operating at optimal levels too for RC Lond, then I suggest that our double pivot should have him as the destroyer and then Majid Ashmeru as the progressor.
Okay. How about the tactical display of the team? What should be the instruction? Should we go all guns blazing, start on the front foot, offensively attack, or we should probably sit back and then try to be explosive in transition?
I spoke to the other Chris, the video analyst, and then he was like, just watch the Mozambique game again. Mubarak, Mozambique were on the front foot and they had chances.
A plethora of them.
A plethora of them. And they actually stayed in the game. By staying in the game, their focus helped them because in the first 15 minutes, Egypt could have scored 3 goals. But they didn't. They didn't panic to Mozambique. They stayed in the game and they created chances. They were a late Mohamed Salah penalty away from winning this game. And that's exactly what we have to do. Apply, be on the front foot. But in those 1v1 12s all over the pitch, you must be first to the ball. That's the only way we can have a chance against them. And I genuinely feel we do have a chance against them.
Yeah, we do have a chance. But I actually also think that, like Rupert Victoria said, he doesn't subscribe to the weather being an issue because the two teams are playing under the same weather. They're playing under the same temperatures, same humidity and all that. So he doesn't subscribe to the assertion that, the Egypt players might get tired and Ghana will have an advantage because Ghanaian players have got a certain weather and all that. One thing we all need to note is that most of these players, they apply their trade abroad. The weather that they get used to it before coming here is quite different. Take a look at that game against Cape Verde, and you will notice that most of our players who were on the flanks, by 60th minute, they ran out of gas. And I feel that I will not go with the angle of attack, where we'll have to conserve loads of energy, keep our shape. Be very mindful of the threat of the likes of Trezeguet and Mustafa. I also think that we should be very mindful of the fact that the Mohamed Salah we saw against Mozambique is going to be a different beast. In fact, we spoke to an Egyptian journalist who said Mohamed Salah is 31. He's arguably one of the best players to come from Egypt. But one thing he needs to cement his legacy with is to win a title with this group of players. If he's not able to do it, then Mohamed Salah, who is being eulogized worldwide and in the Arab world, will not be appreciated like his talent has been appreciated by many. So I think he's going to be a different animal later today against Ghana. So for us, and having always watched Chris Hilton, who prefers to be, what do I call it, very conservative, very cautious in his approach, I would not subscribe to us going gambling, considering that how erratic we are at the back. You're definitely going to have a Mustafa run through. You're going to have a Trezeguet run through and make life very difficult. Mohamed Salah going towards. In fact, if you run towards Salisu and he starts, we are in danger. So I believe that we should be very cautious in our approach, and it's not just, but one goal, one moment. It takes just a second to change an entire game. And once that second comes in our favor and we're able to take it, it could spell the end of Egypt in this game. I have an issue with Chris Hilton sometimes when he decides that he wants to go for a draw, like we saw against Cape Verde. By the 80th minute, he wanted to shut it down. That was when he started planning to bring on Salis into the team and all that. I would always say, the decisions of a coach, when they go his way, he's a genius. When it fails to go his way, then it's also for him. Then we'll describe him as a terrible coach, and his decisions are not good. But I would prefer, or I would suggest that we do not go all out attacking these Egyptians. By the time we realize we'll be taking 3, and when we take 3, even 1, the body language of our players changes.
Okay.
It falls off. And if we take 3, game over.
Yeah, Muftau, I would come to you guys for your concluding thoughts on the game tonight. But I want us to, I'm in Accra, so let's go to Circle, where Sweetie is there talking to some fans about the game tonight.
Black Stars are playing against the Pharaohs tonight at 8 p.m. in the AFCON. This is the second game, and we've seen a lot of people who are dressed up, ready to support. Did you watch the game? Tell us your name first, and then did you watch the game?
All right, my name is Priscilla, and yes, I did watch the game. I know, it wasn't what we were expecting, but then today, I know for sure that we are winning the match.
So what do you think is your ideal starting 11?
Pardon?
Ideal starting 11, or do you think Kudus will play?
Well, I watched the news and then I learned I think he has an issue with his leg, and then I don't think he will play. But then we are still hoping for the best.
What do you think they can do today differently to ensure that we go home with a win? Because we need a win badly today.
Okay, I think they should promote teamwork within the team members. They should play together and then unity, and they know Ghana is supporting them today. So they need to win the match. It's 3-0.
3-0. Thank you so much for your patriotism. And I also have here OBK. OBK, did you watch the game yesterday on Sunday?
Yeah, I did watch the game on Sunday. I was expecting so much, but I think they did well, they did well, yes. Because the Cape Verde players, I think they were very fast with the ball. Whenever they get the ball, they don't relax. They run with the ball. So I think the Black Stars were able to match their speed. Yeah, they did very well.
What are you looking forward to today in today's game?
I still have hope in the Black Stars. I haven't lost hope. I believe they are going to make us proud. Yes, they are really going to make us proud, because I heard we've actually played against Egypt before. Yes, so we can do it. We can do it. I believe in them. Go Black Stars.
Go Black Stars, go. So there's excitement here today. 3 go. Oh wait, what's your prediction today?
I've never predicted a game before, but I'm hoping for 2-0.
2-0 it is. Hello, please come and talk to us. Are you looking forward to the game tonight? All right, so we are trying to get responses from as many people as possible. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Keep watching. Over to you in the studio. We'll come back when we have more respondents.
Well, interesting thoughts there. Muftao, how is the mood like in Abidjan ahead of tonight's game? From the fans' perspective, because we heard a story yesterday of them taking $400 each. And will they be troubling?
And I remember about it. I don't know if you watch AFCON today. I did say that. Well, journalists decided to report on the supporters, but they've forgotten that they are also part of a contingent that came.
Let's talk about the fans.
To do the stories.
Journalists are exempted, yeah.
But the supporters I saw yesterday were very optimistic. They were cheering Jaman, they were dancing and all that. And in fact, they actually said that they don't just go on the pitch to support or to the stadium to support the team. They do other things outside the pitch. So you're wondering the kind of things they do outside
tell us.
The pitch to support the team. To support the team to be able to win. There's high optimism. It's just that a few are quite indifferent, like my good friend here, who sometimes is indifferent. You heard him earlier say that he doesn't know the kind of Black Stars that will turn up.
Exactly.
So you're wondering.
Black Stars are like Manchester United.
Your producer will kill you today. Echo insisted that he will take off your head. But the thing is that many of our colleagues here are very confident. And I will always say, the success of the Black Stars, the success of any sporting federation, the success of any athlete in Ghana is a success of a journalist, a sports journalist to be precise. If the Black Stars were not here, we wouldn't be here. We are here to tell their story. And we are here as a group that is committed to throwing our weight behind this team. And I'm very confident that some of my colleagues, like Atta, who is indifferent, haven't listened to me, will change his mind. I'm not a politician, but I think that I'll be able to convince you enough to support the team. And the supporters as well. Like I mentioned, the supporters, I was with them, I interacted with them, and they are very optimistic that tonight is going to be a very good night for Ghana.
Atta, what do you think?
I hope so. I hope so. I wish the players were saying this and not my colleague journalists. You know what? We want to see some desire. We want to see some fight. We want to continue our stay here. The tournament is so boring when your team is not involved anymore. The GFA and the Black Stars should know that our success as journalists is hugely dependent on their success on the field. And it gives us so much space to maneuver, and it fills us with so much warmth. I want to write that the Black Stars have won. You see, the line between subjectivity and objectivity when you are following the Black Stars is so thin, and we tend to lean towards the subjective side. We are Ghanaians first and foremost before becoming journalists. Go Black Stars, go! Let's do this.
And we are doing it tonight. We are doing it. I just think history will be in our favor tonight.
Okay, so I'm going to push you guys to the wall. I need predictions.
I thought Eko was telling you to go, or?
No, I need predictions. He's telling me to stay. Yes. So, Mufta, what do you think? I need a score line. You guys are there.
The word on the pitch is that we are winning 2-1. So we are all saying Ghana 2, Egypt 1.
Yeah, that is for your friend. Atapo, he speaks very good French, so I'm not part. My prediction will be after the game.
Okay, that's fine.
I think the worst for Ghana will be a draw. That will be the worst.
But will draw be good for the Black Stars?
It doesn't matter. If we get a draw,
we are still in the competition.
We pull out our calculators and start putting the mathematics together.
XY, pi r squared, all rooted in the square root x over 2.
X squared.
Find
we are not doing log division here.
So we'll be there. We'll put out the calculators and we'll hope and pray that we'll beat Mozambique and then qualify. We just don't want a repeat of what happened in Cameroon.
We can't live with that. It's a double scar. No, like double exit. No, we can't live with that. Sorry.
Okay. Guys, thank you very much for your time. My two vaunted sports journalists in Ghana. Thank you very much for your time. Muftao and Atapoku.
You're mad.
So what? Yeah, we wish the Black Stars the very best of luck tonight, and there will be more analysis on AFCON today on the Joy News channel and on Joy Prime channel as well at 1 p.m. My name is Haruna Mubarak. That's how we end the sports segment on the AM show.
Welcome back on the AM show. And as indicated, we're starting off talking about the transport fares. Commercial transport operators in Ghana have declared a 30% increment, now reduced to 20%, starting from Monday, the 22nd of January. Now, they cite significant increments in the cost of lubricants, spare parts, DVLA service charges, among others. Of course, spare parts we know, among other places, and the imposition of different taxes and levies. Well, this morning we're hosting David Aguado. He is PRO for the Concerned Drivers Association. He joins the conversation. Mr. Aguado, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. I think I'm better here.
I feel here, but it appears things are going down a certain road once more. So I just want to find out right off the start, but maybe before I get to that, if you look at the members of your association today, you look at them in terms of the way they are living on the back of the economy and everything. What picture would you paint to me?
I will paint a very gloomy picture that will not be nice to the public.
Which is what?
Our transport these days and the way it's going is going down the drain. Because each and every day, things are going at the higher side. And it's affecting the car owners and the drivers as well. And these days, if you're a car owner and you have a fault on your car and you didn't go in for loan, you can't fix the car. Meanwhile, the car's supposed to work and you keep the money for fixing of it. But as I speak with you, any little thing beyond 1,000, you have to go in for loan.
Beyond 1,000 cedis.
Beyond
You're telling me that the drivers in your association are so hard pressed financially that if something were to come up, even costing 1,000 cedis, they would have to go for loans. But they don't own the vehicles. Most of them are not car owners. They are merely drivers. And I use merely respectfully. I'm just saying that they are not the owners of these vehicles, by and large, right?
Yes, it's true. But I will tell you, for Ghana now, 70% of the drivers are now car owners via the high purchase thing that have come into Ghana. So it makes we, the transporters or the drivers now, some of us are car owners. And that's why I say it's affecting us, because we are paying on high purchase.
Okay.
Every week, you need to pay a certain amount. And the amount is very huge. When you have a little problem, then you need to go in for a loan. And that's how we are now. Even some people have been injected from their homes. Some even can afford their children's school fees. You see? So that is how we, the Ghanaian drivers, are looking like these days when you go to our various stations. Even some are not even sleeping in their homes. They're sleeping in their cars because you have to...
Some of your members are sleeping in their cars?
Yes, at the station. Because you have to do extra work to get something to check yourself or to balance yourself.
Tell me, so you say the Concerned Drivers Association, I know you have a lot of buses, among others in there. I don't know whether those are the ones you are referencing, the normal trotro, or you're referencing the taxis and others. Tell us about your membership. What kinds of vehicles do they have?
We have coaches, we have trotros, we have the taxis, and we have the cargo cars as well.
So coaches, trotro, taxis, and which one?
The cargo cars.
Cargo.
The goods carrying cars as well.
What is the strength of your membership? How many are you?
Every day we get members, but for now I can say the membership is huge. It's huge.
How big? I mean, give us an estimate. 2,000, 10,000, 50,000. Averagely, how many are you?
Averagely, I would say we are the second largest.
After GPRTU?
After GPRTU. We are the second largest before Pro Tour and other one comes.
How many members does the GPRTU have? Do you know?
I don't know the GPRTU numbers, neither Pro Tour. Even my own, I'm contemplating to give you the exact figures, how much more GPRTU and Pro Tour.
So you don't have the exact figures?
I don't have the exact
figures. You can't give me an estimate. I mean, you are PRO.
I'm PRO, yes. But this one, I have to contact my secretary before giving it out. Because, you see, it's data. And I need to be accurate.
Right. I feel you on that. In recent times, even as we talk about what has led us here, I just want to enumerate a few things. Have you heard of the emissions levy?
Yes.
Of 100 cedis per year?
You see...
No, I just want to find out. Have you heard of it?
We heard of it.
Has there been any conversation about that with you? Because it's to affect vehicles that use petrol or diesel. And I know a lot of your members, especially the cargo and others, will use diesel. That's why I'm asking. So you're aware of it?
We are aware of it.
Have there been interactions with you as a drivers' union about it?
No. Absolutely no. They didn't even invite us to anything. We asked GPR, we had a meeting with GPRT yesterday. We asked them as well that this eco tax that they are talking of, did they invite them? Because they are the largest, so maybe they want to seize that opportunity to invite them first. Did they do? They say no. So that tells you the transport community are not recognized by those that are, those that are in affairs of today in transport.
So you're telling me as of now, okay, let me add another one. The vehicle income tax, which was supposed to have started from the start of this month, the start of this year. If you are the owner of a vehicle performing a ride-hailing service, whether Uber, Bolt, Yango, whatever it is, you pay those taxes. How about that? Has there been any consultation?
There is no any consultation. But this income tax issue cropped up last year. Somehow, somewhere July or August thereabout. And they start arresting those that are applying long distance, like Takrade, Aplau, the long distance, the Kumasi and other ones. They start arresting them. So the call have been coming to our office. We follow up to GRA and other things. They say, yes, they have started, but there is no any engagement with us for us to, communicate to our members.
Okay, so I intentionally asked for those two. It means that for the vehicle income tax, as far as you know, there's been no interaction with your membership, not with the GPRT. You don't speak for them, but at least you share information with them, and not on the eco tax or the emissions levy as well. All right. Now, have you started paying the emissions levy?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. And your members haven't started paying the vehicle income tax yet?
The vehicle income tax, we encourage them to start because it's 3 months. And the very first 15 days, they don't check. After the 15 days before they start checking. So we encourage them to, go in for it. Because come what may, once we have now resumed full to pay the income tax, they must pay it. And we must too as well. So So we are encouraging everybody to pay it. That's why there is no any talk or discussion with us. Once it is in the airwaves, they must support and we should do it.
And you know exactly why I'm asking you these questions, right? Because it could have a concomitant effect on transport fares. Now let's talk about the transport fares. About 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, there were frequent increments. It led to a lot of rancor between you, the commercial drivers, and government. Then somewhat things normalized. Some of the fares are still surprising for me. Sometimes when I go and ask, maybe I don't do trotro, but one of these days I probably might, just to check out. But I am surprised nowadays when I ask about some distances and I'm told the fares. I get surprised. From back then and now, I get honestly shocked. But why are you back here jousting, tussling with government? What are the factors that have brought you here?
Thank you very much. The factors are, you see, the things that we use in terms of increasing the transport fare and other things have gone up drastically. Let me cite them. We have 5 components. The fuel, the lubricant, the spare parts, and then the cost of a car.
Cost of a car?
Yeah. And then the stationery and printing, as you are asking, the income tax, the levies and other things.
Taxes and levies.
Yeah, and then the
I believe you've also spoken about charges at the DVLA.
DVLA charges, yeah. Those are, we term it as stationery and printing.
Okay, all right. And so I'm seeing here fuel, lubricants, spare parts, cost of a car, taxes. So cost of a car, is that maintenance or the actual cost?
The actual cost of the car itself.
The actual cost of the car.
Yeah.
Of course, prices have gone up.
Yeah.
A vehicle that I know for a fact, some of the vehicles you would have got for 35, 40,000, let's say 3 years ago, would cost about 70 plus thousand, some of them.
Even not 3 years ago, last 4 months or 5 months ago. Sprinter buses were sold at, I'm very conversant with the old currency. So I will do the old currency, then we translate into the new currency. Sprinter bus last year, somewhere October, November, thereabout, was 140 million.
14,000.
14,000. Yeah. Now it's 220 million.
That's 22,000.
Yeah.
That's an increment of 8,000 cities.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's about
that's
only
only
50%.
Yeah, that's Sprinter bus alone. Talk less of the vehicle that we call Toyota Fish. Toyota Haze, but we name it Toyota Fish. It was 90 and 100, but now it's also 300.
So that was about 90,000
and
to 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
And now it's about 300,000.
Yeah, 232, no, 230, yeah.
230,000.
Yeah.
Which one is that? That's the
Toyota Fish.
Toyota Haze.
Yeah, the Haze.
See. So how do you still manage grappling with these increments? Of course, if people are still buying the vehicles, it means you have money. You have the money to do so. I mean, if it's increased from, this is about a 200% increment, 90 to 100,000, and then from that figure, that was the initial figure, it's 230,000, and then 14,000 to 22,000. How are you able to do these financial gymnastics?
Exactly.
Then it means you have money.
We don't have money. That's why we are forced to charge this 30% that we are talking of. You see, we have run transport from September to this time on losses. And we don't want to continue, because if we continue to the next month, maybe we'll run out of business and we'll not have anything doing. So we were forced to do that. The fares alone, the increment alone in spare parts too is very huge and very high.
So walk us through some of them. Let's take them one by one.
Okay.
These components. Fuel. Fuel prices have dipped a bit in recent times. What is your complaint there?
Yes, fuel price have come down a bit. Yes, we accept it. But you see, I told you it's 5 components. Fuel is just only one. The reason why
I want us to do a breakdown for each, so we know, because I remember in the thick of inflation and everything, fuel prices in some instances hit 19, 20, even 21.
23.
21 plus CDs.
Yeah.
You're saying 23?
23 was the highest.
Now you have some 11 something, 13,
yeah,
14,
it's
12 and what you are buying.
12 and 13.
Depending on what you are buying.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going for the V powers or run 95, that's a different matter. But you guys, you don't do that, so that's fine. But at least there's been a decrement. That's about 8, 9, 10 CDs in some instances, right? So fuel, I mean, I'm just going by each of the metrics.
Yeah.
So fuel is not really a problem, is it?
Fuel is not really a problem now.
Though, I mean, it used to be 5, 6, and now it's 12. But still, it has stabilized.
It has stabilized.
So it's not a problem.
It's not a problem.
All right. Let's go to lubricants.
Yeah.
That I know there's a problem there. What is the problem?
Yeah, lubricant was 60 cedis and even up is moved to 100. But now lubricant, the list that you can get is 175 cedis or 180 cedis. That's the list. When you go to Total and other ones, I don't want to do advert for anybody, but you go to the ones that we are conversant with in Ghana here, sells as 220 and 200. Yeah, 220 plus. Yeah.
I know engine oil is also in there because when you get the engine oil, you have to change your filter. There'll be workmanship and all of that. And I know for a fact that engine oil that used to cost about 100 plus CDs, now in some instances it's about 235, and there's good reason for knowing. I know that for a fact. And then you have to purchase your filter, you have to pay workmanship. You're looking at about 300 CDs. But for you, the commercial vehicles, what are the charges like?
Yeah, what you are saying is the same thing. See, formerly when you are changing oil, you use like 220 cedis for all. But now, let me cite Sprinter because I'm in that circle more than the taxis and the other ones. Sprinter, you use 2 gallons. And after the 2 gallons, you buy diesel filter and then engine oil filter as well. You buy, some of us use strainer because the fuel that we are buying, we can see some particles in it. So we want the strainer to strain it. So we use strainers. Every change or every time that we are going to change oil, we have to change these things all. And for now, strainer was 15 cedis, but now 30 cedis. The oil filter, the diesel, was 30 cedis, now 75 cedis. The engine oil filter was 45 cedis, now 85 cedis. Before you go to the engine oil itself and then the workmanship. That tells you now if you want to change engine oil for Sprinter bus, you need 500 Ghana cedis to do it.
500?
Yeah.
I was even being generous. Of course, I was taking it from the saloon car point of view. So if you're using, for example, a Sprinter, you're looking at about twice as much, almost 500 Ghana cedis.
500 Ghana cedis.
All right. Are we done for lubricants? Are there any other?
Yeah, lubricant. Let's use the because the ATF and other ones. So you are the engine, the gearbox. At times you use it for 3 months or 6 months before you change it.
Right.
The gearbox oil. The gearbox oil. So that one we don't factor them much as engine oil. Engine oil. Some of us every 3 weeks. Even some people that runs long journey use 2 weeks. Those that goes every day and come, they use 2 weeks. But we 3 weeks, you have to change it. So that means every 3 weeks, you have to spend 500 on it. It's more than the 500 because you buy, when you are going for service, you have to change all the brake pad, the 4, you have to change it. And now brake pad also is very costly.
How much would you say averagely? Let's say for someone driving a Sprinter.
A Sprinter bus.
How much would you make in sales a day, a week, averagely?
A day is 200 cedis.
That's the sales you have to make.
Sales we have to make.
How much would you have generated, likely?
Likely, you see, it depends on the station that works. At times, you can get 600 and then 700 at times. At times, you go high as 900. Okay. Even in December, most of the drivers say, oh, the business was okay, like 1,000 and 1,001 thereabouts.
Okay, out of the 1,001, for example, then what would go into that? You give out sales of 200 CDs. That's per day?
Per day.
Per day.
And then you buy fuel. You buy fuel.
You buy fuel.
Fuel like 600 because you go more.
So that's 800.
800. And then the rest goes for you and then the station that you work as well. Our station, a day, we have things that we pay because some people, we pay old age for our members. So some of the members are not old, but they pay the money down before they get old because there are old people.
It's a sort of in-house pension.
Yeah. So we pay a day. Driver, when you go 3 trips, you have to pay 130 cedis. Yeah.
So that means out of the about 300 plus that is left, you pay 130
cedis.
And then you are left with what, about 150?
150. And that one will be shared between you and your mate.
I see. Let's get back to it. Spare parts. What's the picture like?
For the spare parts, when we say it, then it becomes like heartbeat. Because whenever your driver calls you, even before I get in here, my driver calls me that when he was on the motorway going, the vehicle ceased to move. I got shocked. You know, spare parts, when they call you like this, the little that you go in for, even the starter and the alternators, that being sold at 350. Starter is now 500 cedis. Starter from 350 to 500 cedis within this December to January. Even the January is not up to end date, and it's 350 now to 500. When you go to steer rag, that one day I can talk of it. Steer rag of a Sprinter bus formerly was sold 1,002. That's 12 million. 12 million. Now it's being sold at 30 or 28 thereabouts. That's 2,800 or 3,000. The one that is being sold at 120 now like that. And that is a steer rag alone. You come to the engine. We have 3 types of Sprinter engine. We have the original Sprinter engine that was sold at 150 million. That's 15,000. Now 35. 350 million.
35,000.
Yes.
Hold for me. Let me bring in Godfred Abubire. He is General Secretary of the GPRTU. They have wanted to go up by about 20% in terms of transport fares. Mr. Abubire, a very good morning to you, sir. Hello, Godfred.
How are you?
I am well, sir. I hope you're well too.
I am very well.
You are the General Secretary of the GPRTU. I have in the studio the representative of the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, the PRO. Mr. Aguado is here with me. To start off the conversation, there's a question I posed to him. I want to find out from you. What is the strength of your membership? The GPRTU, how many members do you have? Do you know?
Wow. It's for membership. It is too large.
Yes, but for data purposes, there should be some delimitation. You should know how many members you have, even if it's 500,000 or 1 million.
I like the way you said it. We have about 2.6 million membership.
You are about
2.6
million.
Million, yes.
2.6 million
all
members.
All drivers and driver mates. When you talk about membership of GPRTU, you're talking about the drivers and then the members, bookmen, and the driver mates. They're all on a constitution. They're all members of the union.
I see.
Yeah.
But do you know how many drivers only? If we were focusing just on drivers.
No, talk about drivers. No, only drivers. We have about almost 2 million. A little less to 2 million.
Okay, drivers alone are a little less than 2 million. All right. Now we have Protua and other members all concerned about some of the latest happenings that are impacting your work. But the GPRTU, you have also threatened to increase prices, transport fares. The question is, why? What are the metrics you are looking at?
Well, thank you so much for this question. But let me begin by saying that Happy New Year to you and then your studio.
Thank you.
I think a little latter part of last year, I think it should be November thereabout, we had the will of this new draft that the Parliament will pass into law. And then two components there one was about the VAT extension on insurance premiums that we pay. And then the heading was about the extension of VAT on non-life insurance policy. And the other one was about the emission tax, which they said is the eco tax, which each car has to pay some 100 Ghana cedis yearly to the government. Now, when we had that, we held a meeting, and then we submitted a petition to the Parliament, and then a copy of it to the Select Committee on Finance, saying that, looking at the current situation, the recent taxes that they had introduced on the surplus, it's eating much into our operations. And then we had absorbed that one, thinking that could have been a little bit saving the situation for the general public. But if these 2,000 comes out, then obviously it will compel us to increase taxes, our fares equally high to make sure we mitigate, including this tax on the spare parts.
Tax on what? So, spare parts?
Yes, on the spare parts. I believe if you can recollect from some months about last year, there were some newly tax introduced to the warehouse, and then the spare parts had gone high, extremely high. So now that they had not listened to our petition, and then they have gone ahead to pass those two bills, we held a meeting, and that was on Monday, as I believe, and we said that the union will not keep quiet, but that we also have to sensitize our members that lorry fare will have to be increased. The fact that these bills have been passed, it doesn't mean that they are yet implemented, but we were talking about 60% fare increment. So the 20% for the spare parts will go, whereas the moment they introduce and they implement the eco tax and they implement the VAT on the insurance policies, we will come up with another fare increment to mitigate the operation.
Wait, are you saying that as taxes are added on, you will also keep increasing fares?
Of course.
So with every new tax, let me ask you, for example, now we have the vehicle income tax. I'm sure some of your members are affected. The ride-hailing services, Uber, Bolt, Yango, and the rest. There's also the eco levy or emissions levy. Does that mean that you are factoring all of these in and that moving forward, any other tax or levy that affects you will also attract a transport fare increment? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know whether you are aware components that we don't consider before increase of fare. I don't know whether you are aware.
I am aware of them, but I'm just asking.
Every time when we are supposed to do fare increments, it is these components that we normally gather and look at their percentage increments, and then we come out with a middle margin and increase our fares.
Mr. Abubire, I also know that depending on the increments, it doesn't mean that every time there's an increment, you immediately... No, hold on. I'm explaining myself. I'm also saying that I know for a fact, it doesn't mean there's a pool, about 5 plus, that you use. Spare parts, lubricants, the taxes, fuel, and all of that. I'm aware of them. But I'm saying it also doesn't mean that once there is an increment somewhere a little bit, you increase. That's why I'm trying to get the better picture from you about what your planning is.
Yes, our plan is that the fact that fuel doesn't mean that fuel is the only determinant on fare increment. Fuel is not the only determinant that we have to use to increase fares. It depends on the margin or the volume of tax that we are going to be affected with. Then that time we will have to increase fares. It doesn't mean that we must wait for fuel increment alone. I don't know whether I'm clear with that.
I don't think that is in contention. I think you've made your point on that.
Okay, good. And I'm not saying that it is basically on that path that the union had met, and we had issued out that letter and indicating that we will increase fares. But there has been an intervention.
Okay, what intervention has been had?
Intervention, the sector minister called on leadership and asked this question whether when we submitted our petition to Parliament, did we pass through it through the Parliament, the ministry? And we said no, that we had ignored them. And he thinks that was not proper.
But must you always, I remember in the last few years when you've interacted with, is it the tripartite committee or the different groupings, must you always go through them? In the past, you have sidelined them. This wouldn't be the first time, right?
No, we have never sidelined them. Unless there's an agitation, like we are doing now. We have, you see, there's a protocol that we normally follow. But whenever there's an agitation that we have a deadlock in the meeting, then the union will go and do their own thing, and then that one, it doesn't mean that that's the procedure.
Okay, so in those instances, you didn't go by the book.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to explain.
So you're admitting here that you should have gone through the transport ministry.
He just, and then that we see that to be right. That if we had to petition from all other petitions we have done, we normally pass it through the ministry and then to send our petition, our grievance.
Okay.
So this time around, we have done it without that record. So he called and said that is where they think we have ignored the ministry.
So what have you resolved then? I mean, what is the resolution?
Put on hold. We have resolved to put on hold in the time being to go back to them, and then we have to discuss federally and give more reasons as to why we think that based on the paper, we are going to increase the fares.
Okay, so you have held on only because of those procedural reasons. You want to get the procedure right, but you will still go ahead.
Yes.
All right. Let me find out from you. So at a point, I heard you mention 60%, 20% for this and that. What percentage in actuality are you looking at?
Together or limited to what we are dealing with now?
I mean, with what you are dealing with now, all the different things, now, whether it's taxes.
We have mentioned 20%.
20%?
Yes.
Okay. So this 20% goes into everything, including fuel, including spare parts, including lubricants, including all the other components. That's how you came by this 20%, right?
And then let me add that just about last week, the insurance companies had reviewed their premiums by 10%.
Okay, insurance premiums as well.
Yes, and then DBA2 have adjusted their fees.
Did you say DVLA?
I said DVLA.
Okay.
I said DVLA, and then there's something they have also added, which we are yet to battle with them. It's like they are saying that there's some element we call delinquency fee or delinquency levy.
Delinquency levy. What is that?
Delinquency. That when you delay in coming to renew your driving license, and it exceeds the expires between 1 day, you come and renew with the fee, all right, and then you pay a penalty for delay for the 1 day.
So even if it's just a day, you delay in renewing your driver's license,
yes,
you will be charged.
Or card document.
You will be charged this delinquency levy, which is how much?
Which is about they account to them. It's about 30% on the actual fee you are paying.
So 30% in addition to actual figure.
Yes.
I see.
Then I confronted them on phone, and then they admitted that it is in the law.
Okay. Right.
In the law. Sometimes these are new introductions that we have seen, and then it has more effect on us.
So you say these are new things that have been enforced. So you've never dealt with this. They are telling you it's in the law, but you've never had to deal with this up until now, right?
Exactly, sir.
Okay. So let me find out from you. Does that mean that even the 20% we are talking about could increase, even as you have your engagements? Does that mean even the 20% could go up on the back of the DVLA and its increased charges, insurance premiums going up? Since last year, we were actually told it was going to go up, and I saw it when I paid in December. It has gone up by quite a margin, and but mine also has other things in there. And then this delinquency levy. So with all of this put together, does that mean it will even shoot past the 20%?
No, I think they are the components that we have gathered, and then talking about the 3%.
Okay.
And then we see the other initial 60 was referring to the VAT tax and then the eco tax, which are not yet implemented. But the 3% basically is referring to what you have just mentioned.
All right. So let me find out from you the eco tax or the emissions levy, and of course there's the VIT, which has also not really kicked in. When those kick in, does that mean the 20% will be affected?
Eco tax.
So the eco tax you've just mentioned, the emissions, I'm saying when that kicks in together with the vehicle income tax, does that mean likely we'll go above 20%?
Exactly so. I think that's what I mentioned. That's what I mentioned.
Okay. So let me also find out from you right before I come back into the studio. Why is it that as drivers' unions, you cannot have one percentage to go by? Sometimes you hear this one saying 20%, the other one saying 30%, the other one saying 22%. What is the arrangement? Why can't you have a consensus?
Well, I think we had moved that forum, I believe in November 2001. No, 2021. And then we had formed a coalition of transport operators. But somewhere along the line, there were some miscreants who were there, and then they were bumping and then presenting what the coalition would say. Sometimes you see somebody go out and malign a minister on things which we all at the coalition did not say. And then they were giving a very bad reputation to what we were all out for. So at that point, that coalition has had...
Do me a favor, Mr. Abubere. Please hold for me. Just hold for me, I beg of you. Please hold for me. We have the Deputy Minister of Transport, Mr. Hassan Tampuli, joining the conversation. Mr. Tampuli, a very good morning to you, sir.
Very good morning to you, Ivan.
The name is Benjamin Akakpo, and my apologies. I wasn't in the know that you had been on the line. My apologies for that, for holding you inadvertently. So let's do this. You are aware of the situation. I don't need to belabor the point. What do you make of where we are now with the drivers' unions? They are threatening to increase their transport fares. Do you feel it is justified?
Good morning to you and to your viewers and listeners. I think that I overheard the voice of the General Secretary of the GPRT. Is that correct?
Mr. Abubere, who is the General Secretary of the GPRTU.
Yes, okay.
We also have the PRO, just to clarify, we also have the PRO of the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana here.
When
Mr.
I joined, I heard the voice of the General Secretary. So I agree to him as well. I think that just like he alluded to, we have a standing arrangement with the GPRTU and the GRTCC as the umbrella group that negotiates for transport fares on behalf of all transport operators in the country. And the mechanism that we have put in place has been very, very efficacious. It works for everybody. It works for them, it works for government, and it works for also the commuting public. And it's based about some amount of certainty and predictability and acceptability, if I may add. What we do is that we engage these operators based on certain parameters that will trigger the need for us to review the lorry fares. And what are some of these things? The price of spare parts, price of petroleum products, spare parts once in a while. Petroleum products is a daily thing. They have the lubricants also maybe once in a while. And then you have maybe insurance premiums insurance premium once in a year. So we look at all these factors. And then they are weighted into a basket. And there are experts who are familiar with arrangements, and they work for both the government side and the transport operator side. And these are objective criteria that all of us agree is best for us to have a just and equitable transport operating system in the country. A mechanism that would give them good returns on their investments, and then will continue to make them do business, and then at the same time also offering as a cushion for the commuting public. That's what we have been doing. On this occasion, any such thing has not been done. And if I can, refer to what my very good friend Mr. Abubere said, we have been doing this thing and it has been working.
Mr. Tampuli?
For us. Yes, sir.
You say when no such thing has been had, what do you mean?
We haven't had this engagement, this negotiation.
Okay.
Normally we have this negotiation and then we go back and forth. There's need for us to trigger the negotiations, number one. If there is need for us, the second point is that what will be the rate? Then we'll look at the matrix. We'll look at all of these things and we'll put them in the basket. And then we'll weigh them and see, okay, what will be the impact of the price of petroleum products going down? Don't forget that at some point, price of petroleum products had gone up to about 23 Ghana cedis. Remember, okay, Solomon.
We've actually discussed this here this morning.
Yes. So,
I was mentioning to the drivers that it's fallen from about 23 to about 12, 13.
Precisely. Today we have some even selling for 11.4, some going for 12 point something, so on and so forth. So much as you may see that maybe insurance premium has gone up 10%, petroleum prices probably have gone down even more.
Okay, so let me just hold a second.
We have a meeting. That's why we negotiate.
Right.
We discuss. So we don't do likely to be or it's supposed to be. We look at the numbers realistically.
All right. So talking about looking at the numbers realistically, if you'll just bear with me for about a minute, I want to walk you through a few things. Like I said, the fuel prices, we actually sat here and mentioned. In fact, Mr. Agbado mentioned that it went as high as 23 cedis. Now we are looking at 12, 13 cedis. Like you say, some even 11 point something. But look at this cocktail. Fuel may be stable. Lubricants, something you would have got for about 60 to 100 cedis, is now about 175 cedis. Talk of engine oil. You could have got the whole process done, including the filter, whether petrol or diesel, and workmanship, for 200 cedis or less. Now you're looking at north of 300 cedis. Spare parts, the claim is that there have been some other taxes slapped on spare parts and that they are very expensive now. You can talk about the VIT, which hasn't even kicked in properly, the vehicle income tax. You are fully aware of that. The eco tax, the emissions levy. They are saying that with all of these things added to insurance premiums going up by the percentage they've gone up, we all saw the messages from last year. They say the DVLA has increased some of its taxes. They say the delinquency levy that the DVLA has started bringing up, which is per the law, according to what they've been told. They've never been aware of it, but that means that if you default even one day in terms of renewing your driver's license, you pay an extra 30% on the actual amount. Mr. Agbado in the studio has been telling me about how the cost of the vehicles they use have shot up. A Toyota Haze, which would have been about 90 to 100,000 just a few months ago, close to a year ago, is now going for 230,000 Ghana cedis. Another bus, the Sprinter bus, which would have cost about 14,000, is going for 22,000. When you factor in all of these, are the drivers being unfair?
Okay, so that is why I keep referring to the fact that we have a standing arrangement. You bring all these numbers to the table. We validate them. You understand? We all validate the numbers, and we look at what impact it will make on the lorry fare. That's what we are saying. Nobody is challenging any figures, but normally you bring all of these things, and then we also look at them realistically. Is DVLA actually charging any new rate? As far as we know, no. All right? Have the taxes kicked in? As far as we are concerned, the taxes have not kicked in yet. You understand? So why this preemptive, strike? Trying to second guess, when the tax is going to come into being. So I said, let's have a conversation. Let's meet. Mr. Bubre, come to our office as you have always done. Let's sit down and then let's discuss these increases or these new areas that you think that are additional to your cost of operation. And then we consider the impact. Is it even possible that maybe all of these things put together would bring up the fare more than 20%? Is it likely that it will come down below 20% or to be 20%? Let's have a conversation. That's what we are saying. I mean, this is not difficult to ask. On behalf of the commuting public.
Okay, so basically, in principle, it is not wrong for them to do this. You feel, yes, there have been increments, though fuel hasn't really gone up. But you feel where the bone of contention is the path, the process they are using. They should have gone through your ministry in petitioning Parliament. You just want them to come to the table to have a conversation, right?
Well, I'm not sure about this petitioning of Parliament. Parliament went on it. I don't know when the petitioning was done. But these matters that I'm talking about, we do them regularly. We do them regularly, and there's no Parliament involved in this. We actually do them sometimes with the involvement of Ministry of Finance, but mostly, 99% of the time, we do the meetings at the Ministry of Transport.
Let me clarify from...
We issue a statement is issued, we all agree on the content of the statement, and it is issued.
Okay, and I think that point is clear. We know the processes, but hold for me like a few seconds. I want to clarify. Mr. Abubere, did you say that you had petitioned any members of parliament or not?
Yes, I think my brother didn't get that particular part very well. What I said was that when we had ruled somewhere in November about the bill at the parliament about the extension of VAT on non-life insurance policy, and then there was the eco tax, which is about the emission tax. We submitted a petition to the parliament.
Okay, so this was in November last year.
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
And the copy was, so these are the areas we didn't talk about the other taxes on the other one, but these two components we had, we were able to get it on the website, and we printed it out before we submitted the petition. But my minister is saying that we should have, as usual, petition to the parliament through them.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that clarity. I just wanted that clarity. Is it clearer now for you, Mr. Tampuli?
I think I'm getting a better understanding of what he said.
All right.
But like I said, let's come back. We have had an excellent working relationship with the transport operators, and I don't think this is the time for us to break that bond that has kept us together, and that has also brought some, certainty and a certain degree of predictability as to how things operate, within the transport ecosystem. So I think that we should let's have an engagement, Mr. Abubere, please, like we have been doing in the past. Let's do it again.
Before you go, there have also been instances, and I had cause to go down that road with Mr. Abubere. There have been instances where when there's a stalemate, then they go ahead and do certain things you ordinarily wouldn't have wanted them to do. In this instance, so you are saying they should come to the table, you will negotiate with them, and you can guarantee at least that you will let them give vent to their concerns, and then what happens? Your tabulations will be done?
Mr. Abubere will confirm to you that, look, we have negotiated and had discussion and conversation about transfer tests with them, and 99.9% of the time we have agreed. He's on the line. He will confirm to you 99.9% of the time we have agreed on what should be done. And we can do it again. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so I don't know, there's no bone of contention here. I don't know what's happening, but this is not, what we are used to. And then I believe that nothing has come to spoil that relationship. Let's continue to engage and then come to a settlement. Like I said, who knows? When we put all the factors into the basket, it is impossible that maybe they deserve to have 22%.
Right.
Or 25%.
Right.
Or 18 or 15 or 10%. So until we sit down, we all plug it into the matrix and then work out, the modalities. It will be difficult for anybody to assume that, okay, this is what is going to impact deeper and this is what is going to impact lighter.
Mr. Tampuli, just hold for me. I'll not keep you more than another 2 minutes. Mr. Abubere, so are you going to stick with your increase? Even if you have this conversation with the Transport Ministry, are you still going to push for an increment?
I heard that. I told you mentioned that the minister had asked put on hold on it. So definitely until you go back to them and then sit down.
No, I'm saying when you go back to them, that's what I mean. Will you still push for an increment?
No, the meeting will decide. But I'm happy he said that about 99.9%. I think if he had made it 100%, I would have said no. But I agree with what he said. But we'll go back to them and the meeting will decide.
All right. Gentlemen, Mr. Abubere and then Mr. Aguado, I just want to find out quickly from you, since we have the minister, are there any concerns you have that you want to raise here very quickly with him? I'll start with you in the studio, Mr. Aguado.
Yes.
It must be very brief.
Yeah. Mine is it always that we, the transporters, should come to them? Because they are there to regulate us. They know, and the indication started since October or November. Wouldn't they also call us quickly for us to sit? Because we are running at loss, as I said already. So not always that we should come to them. They always have to also prompt us so that we'll be in hand, not that we'll be at the before sitting down and say, oh, now we have Jojo, things have no. No, we should all, cooperate and exist.
So the ministry, together with the other entities, they shouldn't wait till things come to a head. That is what you're saying. Mr. Abubakar, do you have any quick word for the minister? I just want him to react to any concerns you may have before he goes. Mr. Abubakar.
Yes, I want to give up my last one, but I think I want to disagree with Bado. You see, the law of increments has a significant component. That the moment law of fares are increased, it brings about inflation. So for us to go back there, I don't think it's out of place. Going back there to discuss and then make sure we arrive at something, it's not out of place. So I think by the time, when they call and give us a date, like the minister mentioned, we'll go there and discuss about it.
All right. Alhassan Tampuli, are there any reactions you have to this before you go?
Yeah, I think I'll react quickly to Mr. Agbado's comment. I think that I will take into consideration the comment that he made that maybe we should also have reached out one way or the other. But we'll take that into consideration so that maybe it will guide us in the future. But like I said, and then Mr. Bubri agrees with me, let's have this thing, let's continue to Jojo. And we're able to get better results than, having to do this. We would have been having this meeting in the office instead of doing it on radio. Of course, not radio or TV. But of course, sometimes the public must also get an understanding of what happens, when we are having the meeting. So this is just a tip of the iceberg. Sometimes it gets very, very heated in our meetings. But at the end of the day, we are able to come to a certain compromise. I believe on this occasion, it won't be any different from what has happened in the past.
Thank you so much.
Please hold your fire.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tampuli, for joining the conversation this morning. We're grateful for your time. Alhassan Tampuli Sulemana is Deputy Minister for Transport. He joined the conversation. Mr. Abubakar, are you still with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So moving the conversation forward, you're going to have those negotiations with the Transport Ministry and the other stakeholders moving forward. But on the other hand, before I let both of you go, on the other hand, usually, like you rightly said, once transport fares go up or fuel prices have a ripple effect among the other components, then inflation also ticks up. Some also say that, listen, it's becoming unbearable, these increments. I was just sharing with Mr. Aguado, some places that you would have paid 3 cedis not too long ago, all of a sudden you're paying 7 cedis, 8 cedis, 9 cedis, and with this, it means it will go up further. Are you considering the general populace in all of this?
You see, I am happy some of these questions are always asked from the media. We, from the onset, said that increment on lot of it is not a priority. You see, the effect there is that the moment you increase our fares, the daily passenger turnout becomes reduced, and then for that matter, number of cars dispatched per day is always reduced. So the option of fare increment is not the best. So it's just that when we have nothing to do or we have no other way to send, and then to make sure what our operations we can break even, then the issue of fare increment comes. It's not the best option. It's affecting our business because when we continue to increase our fares.
Okay. So basically, you only go there when it is absolutely necessary.
Exactly.
Okay. So let me ask you this as my final question. Assuming you go and negotiate with the Transport Ministry and others, and they tell you, no, we don't believe you need any increment, so nothing for now, just hold your horses. What would be the reaction of the GPRT? What would be your personal reaction?
I don't think, from the factors we have just counted, and then the minister also confirms it, I don't think they'll end up saying no, they will not agree.
He said it could be higher, it could be lower, but there's also a possibility. So let's say they give you 5%. Would you accept it?
Fine, that's a figure. Even 5% is a figure. 5% on lot of fares is quite significant. It's significant. It's just that I'm saying that the element of body language on it is just that when you are asking for something, and then you also know that the effect is actually halfway detrimental to you. You will speak with a bit of passion. We will not just say that what we say must be. So at the end, if the meeting concludes, even with the 5% inflation, it is also a good thing.
So you are willing to bend, basically?
It will have to.
All right, hold for me. I just got a reaction. Mr. Agbado, let's say they give you 5% or less. Would you accept it?
For now, I will not say anything. Because, you see, when we get there,
but when,
the 5%...
when Mr. Abubire said at least it's something, I saw you shaking your head vigorously.
Yes.
You wouldn't, it wasn't a good
Yes,
thing.
Because, you see, I mentioned some prices for you on a parts and then the cars. It's very costly. And the cars are deteriorating. And we need new ones. When you go to our street right now, the only arrest police does these days is lack of maintenance. Why lack of maintenance? Because we don't have money to fix them. So 5% to me, well, it's a figure, but we'll get there. I know it will not be 5%. It will be more than 5%. As Mr. Bobri said, yes, even when we are about to increase transport fare, we, the leaders, we have this shaking. Because the sales, even the booking fees, let me put it this way, our booking fees even reduce. The cars that's supposed to apply like 30 a day will be like 15 or 10. So we feel all these things. That's why we don't want to enter into it that adding transport fare to it. But it is the last resort that we always do this.
So for you, the way forward is what exactly? I mean, considering everything that has been discussed, are you willing, as members of the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, to meet with the Transport Ministry together with the other groups, drivers' unions?
Yes, we have been doing it since the time of Adams. So when we are invited, we'll go and we'll do the needful.
But wait, usually when you guys go and negotiate, is it each drivers' union has representation, right?
Yeah, we have, everybody have representation over there.
All right. Yeah. So you're looking forward to that. Mr. Abubire, so from where you sit, what are your expectations? Do you have any timelines when you are hoping to start engaging the Transport Ministry? You've already heard from the deputy. What timelines are in your mind?
You know, the minister has said that you invited to come today on Friday.
Okay.
So we'll meet you on Friday and know what next line of action to take.
And so these matters that you've discussed with me, you will still carry all of them to those meetings,
all
right?
of them there. We'll carry all there and then we'll discuss them.
Again, so this 20% increment, like I said, I just want to pinpoint. You are going to seek something as close to it as possible, right?
Come again?
You are going to seek as much as possible, a figure pretty close to 20%, right?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Abubire, I think on the back of these discussions, we'll cap it off here and wait to find out what happens when you do have those conversations, and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let me come to you in the studio, Mr. Agbado. So, final words on this development. We've come pretty far. There's been an intervention from the Transport Ministry. Did you have any disagreements with Mr. Abubire's take? There were times when I noticed that you were not exactly in agreement. What is your take? At least you are different unions.
Yeah.
What is your take before I take your final words?
Yeah, thank you very much. As he said, you see, we are all doing the same thing at the same time. We have coalition, as he indicated, we have coalition of commercial transport, which is the work of GRTCC, Ghana Transport Coordinating Council. He's not doing the needful. So we quickly form the coalition of commercial transport. So he is our secretary. Abubri is our secretary. If something of this, he should put it on the platform for us all to know that, yes, minister called that we should do this. So that other bodies will all come together and do the needful. That's all I'll ask for from Mr. Abubri. And then continues with this that, yes, the ministries too should not wait till we push them. They should be proactive. They should be proactive. That's my words for them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We heard from Godfred Abubire, General Secretary, GPRTU. He joined the conversation. We also had in the studio David Agbado, National PRO, Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana. And at a point, we also had the Deputy Minister for Transport, Alhassan Tampuli Suleimana, joining the conversation. Well, we're taking a breather. We'll return with more action on the AM show. Welcome back on the AM show. Of course, we are your election headquarters. 2 days ago, the 16th day of this month, the vice chairperson of the National Democratic Congress in the Northern region was suspended for a period of 3 months. We do not know as yet whether there will be criminal proceedings against him, but he is said to have assaulted another member of the executive, and for which reason this entire tussle took place in the Northern region. The party's office was taken over by some irate members of the NDC. Well, joining us for a conversation on that, we have Mustafa Gbande. He is Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. Mr. Gbande, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Since it's the first time we're interacting this year, I feel it's in order. It's late in the month, but Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, my brother.
All right. Tell me, what exactly has happened? Of course, we know of what has befallen Al-Hajj Hamid. I have heard different accounts. Walk us through from the beginning to the end what you know as party executives.
Well, thank you very much. What is important to note is that over the weekend, which is last week, we heard of such an incident happening between two officers of the party who are regional executives. And so we were waiting for some more information. But before that, leadership had delegated the vice chairman, national vice chairman, Professor Joshua Alabi, who went to the region to meet with the regional treasurer, who is a victim in the matter.
Right.
And subsequently, the general secretary of our party, with my boss, released a statement condemning the act, to the extent that even though one do not fully have the story, it was not appropriate for colleagues to get to that level within our party, because the party has mechanisms within our constitution for redress on all matters. And so no issue between colleagues should get to the extent where physical altercations becomes a resort. Now, the Functional Executive Committee of the party then invited leadership of the Northern Regional Executives to Accra to give us some further and better particulars of the matter. And so upon that briefing, leadership then decided that it was important to begin some, processes of discipline and order. And so it was in place. We realized that there was a fundamental case being made.
Right.
That is what's being investigated further. And so we took a decision to suspend the vice chairman and also refer the matter to the disciplinary committee of the party for adjudication. That is where our actions are so far.
Okay. Now tell me, there has been talk about whether Hajia Shamima will institute criminal proceedings, because this was a case of assault, as we hear it, as your party has confirmed. But even before that, how do you feel about this in respect of women in politics? Already, there is a lot of talk about the fact that women feel intimidated. They don't have the financial draw of men. They don't have the sort of aggression. We want more women in our politics. How do you feel about this happening to a woman within your party?
Well, at the end of the day, what is very important is that leadership is well grounded and fortified to deal with some of these things. It doesn't just happen to women, it happens to men. And for me, I look at politics.
But I think it is even more egregious when it happens to women, don't you think so?
Exactly, which is one of the reasons why leadership should, swift attention in the matter. I just told you that when it happened, we sent delegations, and several other members of the National Executive Committee have been in touch with our sister, who is still an executive member, and which led to the decision of suspension of the vice chairman pending further investigation. Now, I do know that the police also, in one death, picked up the suspect, who is the regional vice chairman, and after yesterday, he was taken to court and granted a bail. And so beyond that, we are not resting. We interrogate the matter as leadership and bring out all sanctions that are well-grounded within our party as far as some of these conducts are concerned. We do not believe that any officer of the party should get through worse to the extent that you are willing to assault a colleague, either male or female. And more to talk about a female. It's something that is very condemnable. It's an action that should not fit well with anybody. That leadership will not rest until we get to the bottom of the issue and then bring out the appropriate actions that will ensure justice is prevailing within our party as far as Northern Region is concerned.
I know for a fact that the party, the NDC, has roundly criticized and condemned these activities. I just had to go down that road because I feel it is particularly worrisome when this is perpetrated against women, no matter what may have caused it. I recall that in that statement signed by your party secretary, General Secretary Fifi Fiavikwete, it said at the end of its deliberations, the following decisions were taken in accordance with Article 48.1, 48.6, and 48.8b of the party's constitution that will, with immediate effect, your membership, that is Alhaj Hamid Bewa, your membership of the NDC is suspended. It's been suspended for 3 months, but in consideration of, like some would say, the gravity of the situation, is it possible, for the sake of example, for anyone like Alhaj Bewa, he himself, or others to come to suffer stiffer punishment? I mean, could this punishment be extended even further? That's my question, I guess.
Well, it would extend depending on the issues that will come out when the disciplinary committee starts its work. Because don't forget, under that adjudication, the rules of natural justice will be served.
Exactly.
To give various parties and witnesses the opportunity to make their case.
Right.
And don't forget that once you are before the disciplinary committee of the party at the apex level, it's just like being at a court, and that if you are wrong, you'll be dealt with in accordance with law. And that one, I can assure you that the NDC and its leadership is positioned and ready to deal with any such issues that come up. And I can assure you that if he is not able to defend himself, the punishment may even go more harsher than it is right now.
Tell me, Hajia Shamima, do you know her current state? I hear she was physically assaulted, the face, among other things. Do you know how she is now?
As we speak, like I indicated earlier, we have sent the National Vice Chairman, several other officers to engage with her as a party. I haven't spoken to her personally, but my senior colleagues and bosses have been in touch with this matter. And I believe that our sister is still well, she's okay. She was treated and discharged the same day.
Right.
And as we speak, I'm told that she's fine, she's okay. There's nothing different from injuries that she has sustained from that act.
Right.
And so I believe that she should be fine.
Okay. Mustafa, please hold for me. Let me also bring in Mohammed Abdul Salam, Northern Regional Secretary of the NDC, on the phone line. We know that there's been a bit of misunderstanding in respect of what is happening and whether it even should be happening. Mr. Salam, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Right. I've heard the story of what happened from Mustafa Gbande, your Deputy General Secretary. But I want to hear from your mouth. I want to suppose you were at this event or you are closer to what happened. What exactly happened, and how come the Vice Chair laid his hands on Hajia Shamima? Can you just narrate to us what happened from your end?
Well, the facts are not different from what Mustafa has already stated.
Okay.
I don't need to belabor the point.
But you were there. Did you see the assault happen?
Yes, I was there. It happened in my office, actually.
In your office?
Yes.
What triggered it?
Well, it is something the two of them can best explain. It is
but
more
it
like
happened in your office. You were
grudge.
there. It happened in your office. You were
what
there.
What I'm saying is that people cannot just start fixing on seeing each other. It is an old grudge. I mean, it is after the event, the narration that's coming from both sides indicate that they had disagreement. Right? That's all I know. But exactly what triggered the incident in the office, nothing triggered. The two faced each other and the man assaulted the woman.
I see. And I mean, so you were there. Did you intervene?
I more than intervened.
Okay.
And if you were to speak to the woman, she would have told you that, but for my presence, things could have
escalated.
Yes.
I see. I also hear that, I mean, among you, there is some disagreement concerning what has happened to Alhaj Bewa. Some feel he is not being treated fairly. Where do you stand on all of that? Some came to the regional office saying that even national executives, if anyone dares to come there, they would show them something and all of that. Where do you stand on all of this?
Well, I am a regional secretary who appreciates that the political party has rules. And the rules were not written because Salam will be secretary at this point in time. The rules were provided as a guidance to conduct for all members of the party. But seeing that all of us have not been credited with the same level of blessings in terms of wisdom and understanding, people will react to issues differently when this happens. So ideally, as managers of a political party, when these things happen, because party has to do with following, people may hold their view. But all we need to do as leaders is to calm them down, try to let them appreciate that given the circumstances, this is the only way the national executive could have handled it in the meantime. Yes.
Okay, so you agree with the position of the national executive that he should be suspended for 3 months, and of course other investigations are ongoing.
In fact, it is not about doing. That's what the Constitution stipulates. When the prima facie case has been established, before giving him the chance to defend himself, you need to put him aside and then set up a committee for him to appear and then try to explain as to why these things happen. And he's not the first person to have been put through those provisions.
So, yes, I mean, it's particularly worrisome that it's a woman, you understand. We want more women in our politics. When beatings or slaps and things come in, I don't think it inures to anyone's benefit, though I understand that even among men, fights occur in different parties. But did Alhaj Bewa explain to you in any way why he assaulted Hajia Shamima?
No, he's not explained to me as in person, not at all. He only said that Hajia Shamima did some recordings of voices and shared to WhatsApp platforms that related to him on some allegations some time ago. In fact, the reference is even as far back as last year.
I see.
Yes.
You are closer to the event. I've spoken to Mustafa Bande on it, but what is the state of Hajia Shamima currently?
Oh, she's good. She's good. She's currently in Kumasi.
All right. So just to cap off the conversation, moving forward, what can we expect? There has been talk about whether Hajia Shamima will push for, whether there will be a procession with criminal charges against Alhaj Bewa. We've not got to that point yet, but do you know anything about that, whether this matter will take a legal twist?
Alhaji had already submitted himself to the police. The police had kept him in custody for about 24 hours. They took him to court, the Tamale Circuit Court, where he was granted bail. So the matter of criminal charges of assault is one that is currently before the Circuit Court of Tamale.
All right, so it's already before the Circuit Court in Tamale. My final question to both of you, there's also been this talk, and just briefly, so we cap it off. There's been this talk about the approach of the Ghana Police Service when it comes to MPP-related incidents and NDC-related incidents. I'm sure you are privy to that as well. We've been told that when it's the NDC, they act swiftly. When it's the MPP, then they drag their feet. Do you support this assertion, and why? That's my question to both of you. I'll start with you, Mohammed.
From my point, I would have thought that I should have had the IGP or his spokesperson online.
I don't have the IGP now, so I'll ask you.
Quite clearly, the actions of the police from the NDC Youth Conference in Cape Coast down to conflicts around inter-party issues, and some of these issues when they occur, you get to the police and they tell you, oh, the IGP has taken interest in this matter. We will have to take it to the head of, we are waiting for instructions from the IGP and all that, and they are swift in dealing with it. That is not to say that a crime is not a crime and crime should be politicized. But the police must be seen to be swift in dealing with issues without recourse to political coloring.
Are you suggesting bias from the Ghana Police Service?
Well, why not? I have not said that.
Okay. All right. Mohammed, thank you. Thank you so much for your time this morning. We wish you the very best. Mustafa Gbande, you have the final word. Mohammed suggests bias on the part of the Ghana Police Service. Do you agree with him?
Well, it's a reservation that I have been making for a long time, that we need to have state institutions who work irrespective of persons or groups who are concerned and where they affiliate. If you follow the reactions of our youth in the North, their problem is that recently when they had a Superdelegate Congress, supporters of the Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia, assaulted supporters of Alan Kojo Tremantin. The police did not act swiftly in that matter. But when it has to do with NDC, they will do so and do so with the alacrity that...
Okay, so I just want, we have to go. I just want to find out. So you believe there is bias against the NDC?
I believe that some way, somehow, there's no fairness in the discharge of some of these things by the Ghana Police Service. But that is not to say that people must take the law into their hands. Once you are the pleasure of the law, you must submit yourself to the law. Whichever way it is.
All right.
The law can deal with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mustafa, for joining the conversation. Those you heard on this beat, Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, and of course, Mohammed Abdul Salam, Northern Regional Secretary of the NDC. We still are your election headquarters, and of course, we switch from the NDC camp now to the NPP camp. You've heard about the neck of the NPP and everything else that has been done from yesterday, the party's headquarters, all the way till today. Well, joining us for a conversation now, a tricky constituency, Yendi, and we have the Member of Parliament, Farouk Aliyu Mahama. Mr. Mahama, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother. How?
I just lost a little bit of what you said.
So good morning. How are you? And good morning to your listeners.
Right. By God's grace, we could be better, but we are well. I hope you are well too. Happy New Year.
Same to you. And it's just that it's been a while I've touched base with my brother, so forgive me. I'll reach out.
It has been a while, but I guess that conversation we'll have later on. Tell me, Yendi is an interesting constituency. It has swung over time. Of course, in the first instance in 1992, we didn't have all of this. There was no competition. But since then, it's been pretty dicey. The NDC has had a foothold there, and now you've taken it over. What would you say accounts for your success in Yendi?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm an indigenous of Yendi. My grandfather was the Zongona of my paternal grandfather was the Zongona of Yendi. And my late father, Alhaji Aliyu Mahama, was the first Muslim and Dagomba vice president to have come from Yendi. So obviously, since my childhood days, I was always with my father coming to Yendi. And after the demise of my father and the contribution of my father and my forebearers in this party, I thought it wise that I could not let my late father's legacy die. And that is how come I abandoned my profession as a procurement expert at Ghana Cocoa Board to come and take Yendi to the promised land. And indeed, you can measure me and my performance, even proud to become a member of parliament, what I've been able to do for the people vis-a-vis now the current member of parliament. I have shown commitment. I've looked at the needs assessment of the people, having known what the people want and the expectation of the people. So I've demonstrated actual commitment and responsibility as somebody who wants to be a member of parliament, even before I became a member of parliament, by acquisition of fish for the Yendi mortuary, boreholes, farmers' intervention, school fees, helping people with their needed support, the agriculture side, the health side, the education side, and all that, even before. And that showed the commitment and the love that people had for me. And that is how come, for the first time, I want you to make your checks. I'm the first MP in the Fourth Republic to have been won with 41,000. And I'm the first MP in the Fourth Republic who has gotten more votes than the MPP presidential candidate in the Fourth Republic. I had votes more than the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And it tells you that I have absolute control and absolute responsibility and trust on the good blood, because, and also I'm the MP in the Fourth Republic to have won with the highest number of votes, 16,000 votes, among all the 18 constituencies in the region. That tells you that the trust levels and the approval levels of Farouk Aliyu Mahama is something that transcends within the constituency.
Two things I want to say from all that you've shared. One, someone else, I always like looking at matters from different angles. Someone will also say, okay, so you got this mass of votes, but that was also because you did not do enough campaigning or enough work for the president. And that means you failed in a certain way. You won for yourself, but you could have helped the president do better. There's also been this talk that, listen, Farouk Aliyu Mahama is making the strides he is because his father is a former vice president of the country. How do you react to these 2 points?
No, I mean, yes, I'm privileged to have been a son of a former vice president, but my late father, growing up, didn't give us that opportunity when he was leader and before he became MP, as he became vice president. My dad never gave us the opportunity to have things easy. And I can tell you that today I'm a responsible person. I've been able to achieve all these accolades due to the hardness my dad put in me. I'm one of the children of my late father who didn't have it easy with my late father because he always wanted me to respond. And I'm happy, but it's unfortunate that he's not alive to see what I've been able to achieve. And I have done things. I'm a self-made man because I've been able to. I don't think my late father was an MP before he became vice president. I don't think my late father had an experience of working in Ghana Cocoa Board for over 12 years to have risen to the position of a manager in Ghana Cocoa Board and also do things aside the name of my father and also try to build my own path. And I think that having assessed myself in the last 10 years, I've seen that, yes, I'm privileged to have been a sort of a former vice president, but I've carried myself well and I've led the legacy of my late father and my grandfather, Mo Igala, who was Ghana's trade minister and Ghana's foreign minister. I've been able to leave a legacy worth emulating as a son.
I see. Now, when you look at Yendi, like I said, it's been pretty interesting in terms of the parliamentary performance. You would notice that for the presidential, since 1996, the MPP has been a force to reckon with. And 61% in 1996, 51% in 2000. I'm talking about the presidential. Then in 2004, 55%, 2008, 52, 2012, 55%. It's always been pretty good. For the NDC, of course, the reverse of that, 36%, 40%, in the 40% range. But then in 2008, the NDC took the seat, and then we also know that there was also that contest before you took over where the NDC was in power. It would appear that this is one of the MPP's strong constituencies up north. Very strong MPP constituency.
Yes, it's a traditional seat, and Yendi seat is the seat that when you win, we have a president. And I can tell you in 2020, when I won, we were able to have a president and MP. And inshallah, my 27th of April, I'm going to emerge as the most populous MP in the constituency, but the delegates are going to give an overwhelming endorsement. And inshallah, it will transcend into the victory of the first Muslim president in Ghana, that is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. You can be rest assured of that.
Right. But then you have other people who also want to take you on. How do you feel about that?
I've been born into politics MPP is a party that is full of competition, and I was born into MPP, and I'm always available and ready for competition. And then a party that doesn't go to competition, but it should be a healthy competition. It's a competition of ideas, competition of evidence-based projects that you have done, reasons why you've been a member of parliament, reasons why you've been chosen to be in the plenary of chamber to be able to work. And as a first time, I have carried myself well, having won with the largest vote in the northern region, having been able to bring MPP from 3,000 votes difference to 16,000 votes difference, and having been in the chamber to perform my functions as a member of parliament, asking critical questions, the new Yendi City dream, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Yendi, where it was and where we are today, and being the first member of parliament to have been a chairman, a first-time member of parliament, to be a chairman of a government assurance committee, vis-a-vis become the chairman of the Muslim caucus in parliament. Obviously, there's some leadership traits that I have, that I believe that the people of Yendi have observed and tested my leadership. And obviously, I'm ready for any competition. I'm competing with my sister, the CEO of Maslog, but I have the ground because it's my work that I've shown, and nobody would like to change a winning team. You can never have a member of parliament who has brought the party from 3,000 votes to 16,000, or even having votes more than the president, and you want to change a winning team. I don't think the delegates are ready for that. It's 4 more Farouk Ali Mahama, 4 more based on my consistent visit, 4 more for the research that has been done that has been the most visible MP in the northern region, 4 more to show that I have shown commitment to the road sector, education sector, health sector, the human development. Just yesterday, I gave scholarship to 150 students in Yendi. I spent over 200,000 to give them scholarship. The evidences of my leadership and what I've shown and why I should be retained is evidence for the people to know. And I can assure you that on the 27th of in 7 days' time, I'll be the continuing member of parliament and 4 more for me. And inshallah, I'll defeat my opponent in that election.
Now, looking at the voting pattern when it comes to the delegates in 2020, what got you to parliament? I mean, to contest for the MPP in that race. You polled 244 votes. Then there was Abibata Shani Mahama Zakaria with 210. And then 139 votes for Baba Deni, a chartered accountant. When you look at these, with over 349 votes that went to other contestants, it tells you that you are not home and dry. What have you done since that time to solidify or cement your position?
Okay, first of all, what the data and the numbers that we used to vote in 2020 differs now. We've brought in almost 120 polling stations, and we brought in almost...
So you've added on to these numbers?
Yes, and we have 785 new polling station executives. So what transpired in 2020 cannot be the same that will transpire in 2024. And obviously, there have been old guards who have been changed in the polling station register. There are new entrants, and I don't think that all those who were there, most of them they are going to be polling station executives at this time. And it's a 2-horse race. And I can tell you that most of the new polling station executives who were brought in are going to be loyalists of the MP. And I can assure you that we would get over 500 votes in the parliamentary elections, because 500 that voted in 2020 is different from 789. And there have been newcomers in the album and the new register. So we cannot use that analysis to be the final deterrent. But all in all, I think if 41,000 people have believed in me and voted massively for me, based on my track record, based on what I've done, based on moving Yendi to asphalt roads, to inner roads, to hospitals, to healthcare, to agri infrastructure, to student support, and to the new Yendi City dream, which is now manifesting. The Yendi dream is manifesting, and 4 years is not enough. My vision is to see Yendi in the next 10 years being placed as the traditional capital of Tagbon. We need to have an evidence-based election, and that is what is my trump card, and that is what's going to lead me to victory come December 27th. January 27th. Sorry.
Some also allege that quite a number of favors have been done you, apart from your lineage being of the stock of a former vice president. Mohammed Habib Tijani, for very curious reasons, in the last election, decided not to contest, which brought you up. Why do you think that is? I'm just curious. What do you know?
I would have to give respect to all my former predecessors, from Shani Mahama to Alassane Malik Yakubu, my uncle, Dr. Alhaji Habib Tijan have all performed well for Yendi. But you see, the energy which I came with before I became a member of parliament, I had demonstrated 4 years, clear years of leadership traits that is in me, and to show that I can lead the people. And obviously, the energy that I brought in, Honorable Habib Tijani saw and tested the waters and did his own research to know that my emergence as somebody who wants to be a member of parliament would cause a lot of disaffection for him. So obviously, he gently accepted. And I believe that we have that cordial relationship.
You're telling me that an incumbent who could have still stood, I mean, he could have decided to go, and as we see in your party, so many of them are challenged, yet they go. Some of them win, some of them lose. I mean, it wasn't as though it were high and dry. He didn't know what the results would be, but he stepped aside.
Yes, but I respect his decision for not contesting, and we've gone past that. And I'm now the current member of parliament. And no MP in Yendi has ever gone for one term in the Yendi constituency. And I have performed better than all my previous predecessors in terms of numbers, if you look at the data. I'm the first MP to have beaten a flag bearer. I'm the first MP to have won with more than 10,000 votes, 16,000. Habib Tijani won with 3,000 votes. I came with 16,000. And I'm looking to a 20 to 22,000 vote difference in 2024 for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So it tells you that there's obviously that approval rating, and you can do your own background check to know my visibility every weekend, funerals, commitment to the people, all the needed infrastructure, all the roads. Due to the support of the president and the vice president, I've been able to do a lot for Yendi. And trust me, I'll invite you to come and join me in my drive around town to see how Yendi is. And I'll invite you to come and have some good tours. As being a friend who have not been in touch for a while, I would invite you to Yendi to come and enjoy yourself after my victory.
Well, that is something that I would look forward to. But I just have to find out. Usually, when members of parliament speak about these, how do you fund all of this visibility, so to speak? Because I know if you're at the funerals, if you're at the outdoorings, if you're at all of these, something must happen. How do you fund all of that?
Thank you very much. I mean, before I became a member of parliament, I've been into my business before I inherited my father's business. I've been the eldest son of my late father. There's a lot of business he left behind for me and my siblings. And having got a network of my father's friends across the country, across the African countries, Nigeria and all that. And there are a lot of my father's cronies, especially Nigeria and other countries in the world, who believe in the legacy of my late father and believe that I'm the true representation of the late Ali Umama's family. So obviously the support comes, and friends and family, businessmen who believe in me. And my brother, that is what is making me survive, because I'm not a minister nor a deputy minister.
Okay, now tell me, looking at how the MPP has fared, okay, economically, on different fronts, a lot of people, I'm sure you go out there, even your constituents, I'm sure some of them will have some levels of dissatisfaction. What do you make of the performance of the MPP? In recent times, I spoke to two very prominent people. I've forgotten whether it was, I don't want to hazard a guess, but academics, very important people. And they were giving scores like 3 over 10, 4 over 10. I remember speaking to Dr. Kwame Asare, political scientist at the University of Ghana, director of the Center for European Affairs. I think he scored government 3 or 4, maximum, out of 10. That is one. How do you feel this administration has fared, and how do you think that will also claw away at your votes? Because sometimes in punishing an administration, the MP is also punished. What are your reactions?
Thank you very much. First of all, we have to appreciate the work since the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and our incoming president, Dr. Bawumia, has done for the good people of this country. First of all, the president took over. We all knew the records of the country when the president Akufo-Addo took over. And having been a president, I think that the president, I will rate the president 7 over 10. The president has not been able to achieve all, but he has done maximum satisfaction to the good people of this country. Obviously, you cannot satisfy all. But if you come to the education sector, for instance, which is very, very critical, I always take education as my priority as a member of parliament. For instance, having looked at where my late father came from, the son of a cocoa seller, my grandmother was a cocoa seller. It was this education that took my father from Yendi to become a vice president. Obviously, as a member of parliament, I look at a peasant farm's son, a poor man's son, who doesn't have that money to contribute to himself. And President Akufo-Addo came in with a vice president and made sure that they brought in this free education, which is very, very very critical. It has taken a huge sums of money from the expectations of parents and their pockets in terms of expenditure. The infrastructure, the STEM development, the new innovations they brought in the education sector. And when you also come to the digitization sector, the innovative Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, looking at how the Ghana card has played a critical role, looking at the digitization, our digital address system, it has made things easier, the banking sector, the money of probability and order. You also come to the economy. The economy started on a very good note, but obviously, due to the COVID issues, we had to have these challenges. But I can speak as we speak. If you look at inflation rates, the Vice President, since he took over as the flag bearer and the leader of our party, has shown commitment that the future looks bright. The economy is bouncing back. The President is at a NAM conference now with the Finance Minister. All in all, I think that there's a new hope, and I don't think that the approval rating would affect our party. The Vice President's approval rating and the party's approval rating is over 50% in terms of what we think. And I don't think that is a few.
You say it's over 50% in terms of what?
Performance. I mean, I rated the government 7/10, but I'm saying that, for instance, the elections, the approval rating for our elections, we are above the 50% mark in terms of what the Vice President is bringing. You know, he's here to provide his own vision as a new leader of the party. I know the Vice President is very innovative. Now that he's going to be his own man, he's going to make sure that he's the leader. He will definitely bring in something that is going to be far different from what our President has done, even though our President has performed better. And the Vice President, let's give him some time for him from next month to come out with his team. The plan is being on board. And I can tell you the Vice President's approval rating and people making sure that now that he's the leader and he's in charge, he will obviously bring some approval rating back to the party. And I can tell you that we are breaking the 8. Out for Yendi is going to be a done deal for the New Patriotic Party. John Mama will lose terribly in Yendi. It's going to be across all the northern sectors of the region. The Ashanti region will come in, Greater Accra will come in. And I can tell you that, my brother, within 9 months, you will see it clear. But for now, I'm telling you that we are on course to victory.
Within 9 months, okay, right, to the elections, right. Let me just find out my very final bit to you. I want a quick answer. A running mate for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, what do you make of it? Do you have any people in mind? Do you think it should go from any region? What's your quick take on that? 30 seconds.
First of all, I was very, very young when my late father went through the process of selection. I know MPP is a party that always takes its time from other presidents who have come in. A vice president position must bring somebody who will bring an addition to the party. And my late father was somebody who brought a lot of votes to the president. And it's a normal ritual. As a next member of the National Council, we're part of the meeting. But I know the vice president...
Mr. Aliu Mahama, I know about the processes. I'm not asking for the processes. I'm asking you, from where you sit, where do you think? Do you think, some have said, the candidate or the running mate should come from the Ashanti region? What do you think?
Yeah, it's obviously going to the Ashanti region. I know very well that it's going to the Ashanti region. That is what I'm sure. I can see my senior brother, Dr. Napo, name coming up strongly, and the other names, but it's Napo's name that is making a lot of strength, not only in the Ashanti region, but in the North region, he has a lot of liking, and the Yana and a lot of people.
Right.
The decision to choose a running mate lies in the hands of the president, and I don't think that I should be in a position.
You mean the flag bearer?
Yes, the flag bearer. But I wish to get somebody who is acceptable and who helps the people and would bring numbers to us. And inshallah, it will be a stronger person who will bring us the votes here.
All right. Mr. Mahama, thank you for engaging us this morning. We wish you the very best in Yendi. That is the Member of Parliament for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama. He's seeking a second term as Member of Parliament for that constituency. Well, that's how we cap off the conversation this morning. And let me just reiterate a very happy birthday to Miriam Awojifa Vojogbe. Today happens to be your birthday. We celebrate you for everything that you represent. I know you are a young lady with ambitions. So we wish you the very best in life, Miriam Awojifa Vojogbe. God actually bless you in everything you do. Then we also have Aunt Janet, CEO of Bok Inn in Bolaga. This is coming from Samuel Mbura. May the good Lord continue to bless and protect you in life, in all your endeavors. You are destined for greatness. Enjoy your day. That is from Samuel Mbura. So, Aunt Janet, Miriam Awojifa Vojogbe, happy birthday to you. If you are celebrating your birthday today, we celebrate you as well. From us to you, we love you. Well, that's how we cap off the show this morning. Up next on this network is Joy News Desk. We'll be right back.